Chapter 2349. That's right. Only you can be 100% certain of my identity. After all, you saw me devour the Black Dragon King's demonic will with your own eyes. When Jin Yuan heard Shao Qin determine his identity, a look of surprise flashed across his face. Then, he openly admitted it. You fused with the Black Dragon King's demonic will? Shao Qin asked in a deep voice. Sort of, but that's not important anymore. You don't have a choice. Everyone knows that you will definitely fight for the Dragon Emperor title. However, once you go to the Divine Dragon Empire, only death awaits you. Jin Yuan looked at Shao Chen and said calmly. Yan Sangming continued, work with me. Everyone is just taking what they need. Even if we take a step back, don't you want Qin Ming to become the Dragon Emperor? She's strength is equally terrifying now. You have no choice. Even though Shao Chen saw through their thoughts, Yan Sangming and Jin Yuan remained fearless. He was not afraid that Shao Chen would not agree, because he had no choice. No choice. Wrong, as long as your heart is strong enough, you can always make the right choice. Boom. As soon as he finished speaking, Shao Chen suddenly attacked, sending a punch flying toward Jin Yuan. Regardless of whether Jin Yuan had merged with the Black Dragon King's demonic will or not, since it delivered itself to him, Shao Chen naturally would not let it go. When he punched out, the great Tao of reincarnation circulated, and the endless power of reincarnation circulated. It gathered in the fist radiance and bloomed like an epiphyllum in the dark night, making the blood moon in the sky dim. Jin Yuan's expression changed drastically. He had not expected Shao Chen to suddenly make a move. With a cold snort, a monstrous demonic aura erupted from his body, and a destructive aura erupted from his body. In his eyes, there was a sky full of stars. In the vast river of stars, stars were destroyed one after another. This caused the destructive aura on his body to reach a horrifying level. It was as if there were really stars exploding in his body. Pooh! However, before Jin Yuan, who had passively received this punch, could fully extend his arm, he was sent flying by Shao Chen like a meteor. Stop! At the side, Yan Sangming felt greatly startled. Unexpectedly, the force behind Shao Chen's punch was so horrifying. He quickly made a move to block Shao Chen, who wanted to give chase. The will of death spread out from his body like a tide. The black aura was like liquid. The strange, evil tentacles materialized and gathered on Yan Sangming's palm. Just a glance at the terrifying death intent was enough to send shivers down one's spine. He was afraid of being touched by it and could not avoid it in time. Yan Sangming's death Dao domain already reached the 9th layer, only one step shy of the 10th layer. Its lethality was extremely terrifying. Compared to other killing moves, martial techniques powered by the Death Great Tao could injure a cultivator's life force. If he was heavily injured, his vitality would be damaged, and it would be very difficult to recover. However, Shao Chen did not fear the killing move materialized by the Death Tao domain. He raised his hand and clashed with it. Boom boom boom. The moment the two palms collided, a vigorous life force gushed out from behind Shao Chen. At a visible speed, a vast, green grassland took form behind Shao Chen in an instant. The grass grew long and the orioles flew. Everything was in spring. Thousands of flowers appeared in the vast grassland, adorning it with beautiful purples and reds. My death intent. Horror appeared in Yan Sangming's eyes, revealing heavy confusion. Unexpectedly, the other party turned Yan Sangming's vast and boundless death intent into even more boundless life force, scattering it on this desolate and dilapidated desolate sea land. Flowers bloomed and withered in an endless cycle. Shao Chen shouted, and the vast grassland behind him looked like a wildfire. It burned out, not leaving a single blade of grass behind. The thousands of flowers and grass instantly withered. The instant the flowers withered, Shao Chen returned a palm strike to Yan Sangming. The death intent contained in this palm strike was even stronger than Yan Sangming's. Bang! Yan Sangming gaped in disbelief. To think that Shao Chen was even more skilled in the Death Dao domain than him. Xiao Chen's even more ferocious and surging death Dao domain directly scattered Yan Sangming's heavy death intent. Yan Sangming vomited a mouthful of blood as he retreated in an even more sorry state than Jin Yuan. Whoosh! Whoosh! The instant Yan Sangming and Jin Yuan landed, they flew up at the same time. Both of them charged at Xiao Chen, going all out this time. Jin Yuan drew his saber, and Yan Sangming tightly grasped a black whip with a sticky black liquid around it. Dense black dragon scales appeared on Yan Sangming's face. Alloy Dragon Armor. With a thought, Xiao Chen activated the Alloy Dragon Armor. Then, he grasped the tyrant saber's scabbard on his back with his right hand. As the two charged over, Xiao Chen drew the tyrant saber at the same time. Under the blood moon, this flash of saber light looked as beautiful as a scarlet datura flower. Xiao Chen suppressed Jin Yuan's and Yan Sangming's auras by himself. Pa! Yan Sangming roared ferociously and swung his black whip in a circle in the air. It was like a thunderclap, ear-splitting and ear-splitting. As this whip swept over, it was like a phantom from hell's depths. Jin Yuan remained expressionless, looking like a demonic Buddha descending to the world as he held the world destroyer in his hand. The dark saber light cut through the world with an irresistible force, containing a boldness that wanted to destroy everything in the world. Even so, the two still retreated before Xiao Chen's saber light. Xiao Chen's saber light seemed to surpass the limits of the epoch, unrestricted by the world. It was like the horn of an antelope, untraceable. It was also like the blazing sun, its surging energy soaring endlessly. Damn it, what kind of strength is this? This is definitely not the cultivation of a nine-vein sovereign emperor. Even a faux god is only so. Yan Sangming said with some despair. Even when the two worked together, they were not a match for Xiao Chen. After exchanging a few moves, the two retreated. However, Xiao Chen remained unfathomable. Under the blood moon, every move he made seemed to freeze time. In the eyes of others, Xiao Chen looked magnificent, unrivaled in the past and present. After 100 moves, Jin Yuan revealed a strange smile as he stretched out his hand and threw a palm strike at the sky. Whoosh! Under the influence of the destruction Great Tao, the boundless night sky slowly turned denser, until it hid the blood moon. Let's go! The instant the blood moon vanished, Jin Yuan grabbed Yan Sangming and fled far away. The boundless night sky lasted for only a moment. Before anyone noticed it, the blood moon reappeared. However, when Xiao Chen looked around, he could no longer see Yan Sangming and Jin Yuan. Did they flee? A look of pity flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. It was not that Jin Yuan had fled. It was not that Jin Yuan had fled, but Xiao Chen clearly felt that Jin Yuan had not done his best. Xiao Chen had not fought this battle yet, but the other party had already left. This felt somewhat unfair. An unprecedented 10-vein sovereign emperor, the cycle Great Tao, and the flawless saber Tao infused with immortals, Buddhas, gods, and demons. Xiao Chen really wanted to know how strong he was now. Unfortunately, this Jin Yuan, or rather, the Black Dragon King's seal had not been broken, and his strength was not at its peak. Thus, he did not wish to fight with Xiao Chen. What he displayed was only the strength of the Black Dragon King's demonic will and quintessential essence soul, not the sealed Black Dragon King's main body. At best, it can only be considered a clone. How strong is the Black Dragon King's main body? After Xiao Chen sheathed the tyrant saber and calmed down, he entered deep thought. No wonder Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun, a peak expert, had to put in so much effort to lay two startling formations to kill the Black Dragon King. At the mention of Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun, Xiao Chen recalled the arrangements Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun made before his death. Then, he sighed. Now, retribution came. After she learned the truth, he actually worked with the epoch masters of the righteous Tao and demonic Tao to kill Xiao Chen in the Divine Dragon Empire. He raised his head and saw a glimmer of light on the horizon. Dawn was about to arrive. A vast sun was about to rise into the sky. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. The desolate sea had a blood moon at night and an incredibly huge, blazing sun during the day, illuminating the desolate sea all year round. The blood moon was a trap laid by Dragon Emperor Shao Yun. Who was the one who laid the blazing sun, which was much larger than the sun outside? Yan Sangming and Zhen Yuan stood side by side in the distance, still feeling lingering fear. This person is too horrifying. No wonder he did not work with me. He did not need it at all. To think that he managed to merge the life and death Tao so perfectly. That is the cycle Great Tao, one of the ultimate Great Tao. The cycle Great Tao? Yes. There's no need to ask about the details. In any case, we already achieved our goal in this trip. Hee. Originally, I was worried that he was too weak and would be easily suppressed by Shi. Now, there is a good show to watch, Zhen Yuan said softly, revealing a playful smile. Yan Sangming remained silent at the side for a long time. Finally, he could not help asking, if we let him grow, will the Black Dragon King's true body be unsealed and not be able to do anything to him? The moment Yan Sangming said that, Zhen Yuan revealed a complicated expression. He sighed, it's useless. The Black Dragon King represents the end, represents destruction. Unless all the epoch masters work together, we can barely put up a fight. Otherwise, everything will be for naught. When the Black Dragon King appears, it will be the end of the martial epoch. Chapter 2350. The morning sun rose, and the sun rose into the sky. On the horizon, a sun that was much larger than the rest of the world shone with a dazzling brilliance. The sun shone, sweeping away the chill of the desolate sea's night. After Shao Chen took his leave of Sang, he used the Heavenly Alliance medallion to confirm the information he obtained from Yan Sangming with Mu Zifeng. It's true. Jiang He already left the Heavenly Alliance and headed for the Divine Dragon Empire. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor will abdicate the Dragon Emperor position 7 days later. At that time, the entire upper echelon of the Bushin Palace will arrive. The other super factions will come as well. What do you think? I hope that you can rush to the Divine Dragon Empire quickly. We absolutely cannot let Qin Ming obtain the Dragon Emperor position. The Heavenly Alliance will support you fully. I understand. Mu Zifeng's illusory figure on the medallion slowly faded. Shao Chen muttered to himself, thinking about something. He did not tell Mu Zifeng that he obtained the Emperor Dragon Throne and the royal genealogical record. However, it did not matter much whether he told Mu Zifeng. The Heavenly Alliance placed all its bets on Shao Chen. It would definitely support him unconditionally. If Qin Ming successfully became the Dragon Emperor, it would be a huge blow to Shao Chen. Shao Chen's luck would decrease significantly. As the epoch changed, the previously boundlessly ethereal luck would become even more important. Perhaps an insignificant matter could have a major impact, causing the Heavenly Alliance to lose the competition to start the epoch. Dragon Emperor. Shao Chen sighed and shook his head. Then, he carefully put away the Heavenly Alliance medallion. Compared to the Dragon Emperor position, Shao Chen cared more about the other piece of news that Mu Zifeng told him. The White Dragon bloodline had already confirmed that they would send Lu Ryue to fight for the Dragon Emperor position. The 6-colored divine dragons, including the Heaven Dragon Palace, were all qualified to send disciples to fight for the Dragon Emperor position. However, this fight for the Dragon Emperor position was clearly just a formality. Qin Ming, who obtained the full support of the Bushin Palace, was much stronger than the other opponents. Of course, that was if Shao Chen did not appear. I'll go to the Golden Crow Empire first. A bright light lit in Shao Chen's eyes. He did not change his original plan because of this sudden incident. In merely 2 days, Shao Chen crossed the desolate sea and stepped into the Golden Crow Empire's territory. Something's wrong. The instant he stepped into the Golden Crow Empire's territory, Shao Chen sensed a strange divine essence fluctuation in the air. The divine energy fluctuations were extremely weak. Even a regular sovereign emperor would find it hard to notice if they did not pay close attention. As a 10-vein sovereign emperor, Shao Chen immediately noticed something wrong. This is, Xiao Chen pondered for a moment before he looked up at the capital of the Golden Crow Empire. Opening his heavenly eye, Xiao Chen's vision extended out continuously. Cities, rivers, mountains, grasslands, deserts, all of them flashed past his eyes. We're here. After a while, Xiao Chen's gaze traversed the boundless distance and landed on the majestic capital. But just as he was about to take the next step, however, he realized that his vision was obstructed. There was an invisible force blocking his view, and he immediately felt puzzled. Withdrawing his gaze, Xiao Chen closed his eyes and tried to sense with his soul power. Once again, he was blocked. Be it his soul energy or the heavenly eye, he could not see through the Golden Crow Empire's capital. There were only two explanations. The Golden Crow Empire's capital's protective formation had already been activated. Unless a faux god powerhouse worked together to lay the formation, it could not block Xiao Chen's vision. What's going on? No matter which explanation it would be shocking. This meant that a huge change had happened in the Golden Crow Empire's capital. Xiao Chen opened his eyes, and a murderous intent flashed in them. There were many possibilities for such a huge change. However, it would be best if it was not what Xiao Chen guessed. Whoosh! Xiao Chen gently pushed off the ground and turned into a flash of lightning, merging into the clouds. Amidst the clouds, lightning flashed and flashed, advancing at an inconceivable speed. About 15 minutes later, electric light fell from a tall mountain peak 50 kilometers away from the Golden Crow Empire's capital. The electric light formed, and the white-clad Xiao Chen firmly landed. Whoosh! 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 The moment Xiao Chen appeared, he discovered the auras of a few sovereign emperors rushing over to where he landed. The security is really tight. I was discovered the moment I appeared, Xiao Chen muttered to himself. Xiao Chen muttered to himself. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something big was happening in the capital. 3 figures appeared before Xiao Chen. Without exception, none of them had the Golden Crow bloodline. The leader had white hair and a bright red mark on his forehead, showing that he was a royal member of the White Marsh Beast Empire. The other 2 middle-aged men looked very wild, showing that they were from the Heavenly Wolf Empire. The white-haired old man had a benevolent expression. He revealed a smile as he looked at Xiao Chen. Then, he asked softly, "Are you entering the capital?" Xiao Chen felt suspicious in his heart. However, he replied calmly, "I saw that the capital seemed to have activated its protective formation, so I came over to take a look. Your cultivation is rather astonishing. I can sense it even if you are not from the Golden Crow Empire. However, I do not seem to have seen you in the Divine Dragon Empire before." The white-haired old man clearly noticed the dragon race bloodline in Xiao Chen, so he probed. Xiao Chen said indifferently, "He's just a mixed-blood dragon. It's normal that you haven't seen him before." The white-haired old man suddenly understood. That was not strange. The people he dealt with in the Bushin Palace were all divine dragon emperors. However, it was quite surprising. Even though this person's draconic might was restrained, his aura was outstanding and couldn't be concealed. Unexpectedly, such a person was actually a mixed-blood dragon. If you are not the Golden Crow Empire's sovereign emperor, then stay away. Don't be a busybody. The middle-aged man next to him stared at Xiao Chen and said in an unfriendly manner. "Alright, I was just curious." Xiao Chen smiled and turned to leave, disappearing from their sight in the blink of an eye. This person is quite sensible. He should be a mixed-blood dragon who has been wandering outside. He doesn't know about what happened in Bushin Palace. The other middle-aged sovereign emperor said softly. The white-haired old man's smile vanished, replaced by a ferocious expression. There was no trace of the benevolence he had a moment ago, and his gaze was like that of a poisonous snake. The white-haired old man said coldly, "We cannot be careless. We cannot make any mistakes at the crucial moment." Suddenly, the white-haired old man's expression changed drastically. After a pause, he said, "Why do I feel that this white-clad person's aura, appearance, and bloodline are very similar to a certain rumored person?" "Similar to who?" The white-haired old man was about to speak when he sensed a weak killing intent. He shouted, "There is killing intent." Bang! However, it was too late. The two great perfection sovereign emperors with only 6 divine veins could not react in time. Shao Chen, who had quietly circled around, punched them. Supreme Dragon Fist, only I am supreme. The blue dragon image connected the sky and the ground. A vast dragon might descended together with the fist light, making breathing difficult. Before the two 6-vein sovereign emperors could turn around, Shao Chen punched them into bits. They turned into ashes, their souls extinguished. The white-haired old man, who was an 8-vein sovereign emperor, fled far away. When he turned around and saw this scene, he gaped in shock, flabbergasted. What kind of strength is this? He managed to destroy two 6-vein sovereign emperors with one punch. Although this was partly due to the element of surprise, the might of this punch was too horrifying. Ice Small World. Without much time to think, the white-haired old man instantly activated his 10th layer Ice Dao domain and formed an ice small world encasing Shao Chen. Pa! However, before the white-haired old man could show his might, a saber light flashed, and the entire small world shattered into countless ice shards. Shao Chen broke the ice small world with one saber strike. The white-haired old man felt greatly startled, completely at a loss. He opened his hand and grasped a Bushin Palace medallion. Whoosh! A miserable shriek rang out. The white-haired old man did not see the white-clad old man move at all, but the saber light chopped off his right hand, which held the medallion. Shao Chen reached out and grabbed the medallion. Then, he crushed it into a ball and casually tossed it away. You are Shao Chen. The white-haired old man looked at Shao Chen in horror. Now, he finally recognized Shao Chen and guessed his identity. Since you know that it is me, then be more obedient. Don't think of informing the faux god experts. Tell me, what happened in the Golden Crow Empire's capital? If you don't tell me in 3 seconds, don't blame me. Shao Chen said indifferently without fear as he stood in front of the white-haired old man. The white-haired old man clearly knew that even if he did not say anything, Shao Chen had other means to obtain an answer from him. The white-haired old man had no choice but to take the initiative to tell the white-haired old man. Otherwise, who knew what kind of torture he would suffer? There's no need to threaten me. The winner takes all. I'm clearer than you on the means of a sovereign emperor. I'll tell you. The Bushin Palace wants the Golden Crow Empire to offer up the Golden Crow Holy Beast as a congratulatory gift to Qin Ming, who will become the Dragon Emperor in 5 days. The Golden Crow Holy Beast will sign a contract and become his divine pet. The white-haired old man sighed softly, you saw the result for yourself. The Golden Crow Empire did not agree, so the Bushin Palace resorted to forceful means. Right now, the Golden Crow Empire's royal clan has already retreated to the Sun Hand Divine Temple. However, they will not be able to hold out for long. It is impossible for him to handle the entire Bushin Palace by himself. Shao Chen did not say anything even after a while. The white-haired old man felt nervous as he probed, it looks like you are tactful. You know that a faux god is holding down the fort and do not dare to act rashly. Since that is the case, why make things difficult for me? I've been missing for too long. If I startle a faux god, it will not be good for you, whoosh. Shao Chen casually swung his saber and sheathed his tyrant saber. Before the white-haired old man could finish speaking, his divine seal and physical body were chopped in half. When the white-haired old man turned his head back to look at the capital, he saw Shao Chen standing upright while holding his saber. Unexpectedly, the result was the one that he did not want to see the most. A clump of golden light struggled endlessly behind him. That was the white-haired old man's soul. However, the soul contained a strand of saber intent. No matter how the white-haired old man struggled, it appeared weak and powerless, unable to change the fate of his soul scattering. From start to end, Shao Chen did not turn his head to look at the white-haired old man. Chapter 2351. As he looked at the Golden Crow Empire's capital, Shao Chen showed an unsightly expression. After noticing the strange situation in the capital, Xiaochen guessed that the Bushan Palace was targeting Little Yellow Feather. Who would have thought that the worst outcome would really be predicted by him? Although a pure-blooded holy beast was still young, it would be a great weapon at this crucial juncture when the epoch changed. If Xiaochen ignored Little Yellow Feather and used a secret technique to catalyze it, overdrawing on its life force in exchange for the strength of an adult golden crow, it would be simply unimaginable. That was simply unimaginable. In a battle against the other sons of epochs, they would occupy an enormous advantage. The Golden Crow Empire would definitely have a foe god guarding the capital. Its luck would be second to none among the 8 great empires. However, the Golden Crow Empire would not be able to resist when the other 7 great empires worked together. The foe gods had already worked together to seal the entire capital with a barrier. As a result, Xiaochen had no idea what was happening inside. Breaking the barrier would not be too difficult for a 10-vein sovereign emperor like Xiaochen. The difficult part was that it was impossible to break the barrier without alerting a foe god expert. Xiaochen did not know how strong a foe god was. Xiaochen could not be sure if he could fight a foe god with his current strength. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen gave a simple report of the Golden Crow Empire's situation to Mu Zifeng. Don't act rashly for now. I'll get Suiren Ji and the other doyens to help you. With your current strength, it is still not time for you to face a foe god. How long do I need? Half a day is enough. After putting away the Heavenly Alliance medallion, Xiaochen sat cross-legged on the summit and thought to himself, half a day. Can Ao Jiao really wait half a day? What if the Solar Divine Temple falls in half a day and the Bushan Palace's people want to snatch Little Yellow Feather away? Given Ao Jiao's character, she would definitely fight with her life on the line. No, I can't afford to gamble. Compared to Ao Jiao's safety, Xiaochen would rather face a foe god himself. He could not let the past repeat itself. Ao Jiao had already died once in the Sky Dome realm when she was helping him with his heart tribulation. Foe god. Let me experience the strength of a foe god. Xiaochen shouted and grasped his saber hilt. Then, he swung his hand, and the tyrant saber came out of its scabbard again. The flawless saber Dao, which surpassed the epoch, materialized thousands of saber lights when driven by the cycle Great Dao. Then, a boundlessly resplendent saber light rose behind Xiaochen. The dazzling saber light spread out in circles and overlapped with each other. It was as if another sun had risen behind him. In the vast Golden Crow Empire, the hundreds of millions of commoners and cultivators scattered across the empire's territory all witnessed this shocking scene. Suddenly, a blazing sun appeared in the sky. The two suns competed with each other's brilliance, and for a moment, it was impossible to tell which was the real one. However, this phenomenon only lasted for an instant. Just when everyone thought that they were seeing things, a voice suddenly rang out. In a flash, he entered the capital. The 4 corners of the capital, which seemed to be normal from the start, suddenly changed. Then, a barrier of light suddenly appeared and pressed down, sealing off the entire capital. This made the vast and majestic capital look like a birdcage, firmly locked in. Boom! The blazing sun in the sky smashed into the capital with the momentum of a thunderbolt. In the next moment, the ground trembled. Terrifying shock waves erupted above the capital. The shock waves spread for millions of kilometers. The instant the shock waves shattered the tall mountains under Xiaochen's feet, Xiaochen leaped into the air and landed on the majestic city walls of the capital. Xiaochen broke the barrier reinforced by a foe god with one saber strike. He used an absolutely tyrannical and ferocious saber strike to forcefully break it, not using any tricks at all. Strong winds buffeted Xiaochen's clothes as he stood on the city wall in his white robes. Xiaochen looked down at the entire capital. The originally prosperous and flourishing capital had already turned into rubble. Thousands of kilometers of rubble could not be seen. A capital that had existed for a long time was destroyed just like that. It did not get destroyed by Xiaochen's earlier saber strike. Instead, it got destroyed in the battle before Xiaochen arrived. Clang! 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 The sounds of fighting rang out endlessly. The intense battle came from the distance. Xiaochen turned his head to look. His vision peered through the dust and saw two foe god experts fighting on a tall mountain in the city. Below, many sovereign emperors fought each other in an extremely intense battle in a completely intact, empty land. It was the Solar Divine Temple. The foe god experts fought above the Solar Divine Temple. The Bushan Palace's sovereign emperors were below. They had already broken the Solar Divine Temple's formations and charged into the temple to fight the final battle. Xiaochen could sense countless gazes in the Golden Crow Empire's capital, both in the open and in the dark. Countless gazes looked at Xiaochen, either filled with doubt or confusion. This humble one is Baiju. Might I ask which faction's foe god you are from? Why are you interfering in the private matters of my Bushan Palace? Just as Xiaochen sized up the surroundings and prepared to head to the Solar Divine Temple, an old man landed on the city wall in the distance. This old man wore gray robes and had a pale complexion. There was a blood mark on his forehead. This was a foe god expert with the great desolate Ian White Marsh Beast's bloodline. Baiju looked at Xiaochen, feeling puzzled. He wondered which faction this foe god was. To think that he was so young. However, Baiju only sized up Baiju for a while before feeling even more puzzled. Why does he not look like a foe god? There is no divine nature at all. Then, what about the earlier saber strike? Xiaochen did not answer. He noticed that the other party held a crystalline pagoda radiating silver light in his left hand. As the other party spoke, he silently circulated his divine energy. The barrier that Xiaochen broke earlier was slowly recovering. It looked like it was going to envelop the Golden Crow Empire's capital again. Xiaochen felt excited. It looked like this old man was in a rush to seal off the capital again. Xiaochen thought about the foe god experts fighting in the sky above the Solar Divine Temple. Xiaochen immediately understood. The silver pagoda in the old man's hand had the effect of isolating the nation's protective formation. The protective formation could draw in the spiritual energy of the entire Golden Crow Empire's capital. If Xiaochen was suppressed and could only draw in the capital's spiritual energy, the formation would be useless. Xiaochen looked around. Indeed, in the Solar Divine Temple, the many sovereign emperors that had already charged into the Solar Divine Temple were chased out. The Golden Crow Empire's sovereign emperors fought even more ferociously. Given this, as long as Xiaochen delayed this foe god and prevented him from raising the barrier again, he would not have to worry. There was no need to worry about Ao Jiao and the others in the Solar Divine Temple. When the Heavenly Alliance experts arrived, the Golden Crow Empire would have survived this crisis. Trying to act mysterious. Baiju finally confirmed that Xiaochen was not a foe god. Seeing that Xiaochen still did not answer, he flew into a rage. Baiju waved his hand and threw a palm strike at Xiaochen. Immediately, Xiaochen felt that hand cover the sky, cutting off his connection with the world. The entire world turned pitch black. The world started rejecting him, and unprecedented loneliness surged over. Xiaochen felt startled. What kind of move was this? He had never heard of it before. However, although Xiaochen felt shocked, he did not panic. He was like a saber abandoned at the darkest edge of the world. However, this saber was unprecedented. Even if the world abandoned it, its light would not be shrouded by darkness. Even if the world abandoned it, its light would not be shrouded by darkness. Whoosh! Xiaochen sent out a saber light. The instant the saber light flickered, the dark world regained its color. Then, the Golden Crow Empire's capital reappeared bit by bit. Xiaochen had returned. Crack! Xiaochen chopped the gigantic palm descending from the sky in half. However, the huge impact still knocked Xiaochen into the air, shaking his blood vessels and shattering his internal organs. The divine seal in Xiaochen's soul pool was like a candle flame in the wind, flickering like it would be extinguished at any moment. How terrifying! Even though Xiaochen blocked the killing move of a foe god, the shock waves were still fatal. When a foe god ignited their divine flame, a casual strike of theirs would be supported by the foe god flame. While severely injuring the physical body, it would also attack the divine seal. If Shaoqin was not careful, he would turn to ashes. Shaoqin circulated the cycle Great Tao, using the cycle of life and death to continuously negate the shock waves. By the time Shaoqin landed, the swaying divine seal in his soul pool had already stabilized and slowly burned. You truly live up to being a foe god expert. This Xiao has experienced it firsthand. Shaoqin said sincerely as he looked at Baiju. A foe god expert was indeed incredible. If it were any other nine-vein sovereign emperor, Baiju's palm strike would have been sufficient to turn that nine-vein sovereign emperor into ashes. Even Shaoqin felt somewhat lucky. When isolated, Shaoqin did not panic or feel anxious. He did not hesitate to draw his saber. Otherwise, if he delayed for even a moment, the consequences would be dire. This Xiao. A brilliant light flashed in Baiju's eyes. After some thought, he said, "You are the epic successor that the Heavenly Alliance nurtured, Shaoqin." "That is me." Ha 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 ha. Baiju could not hide the wild joy on his face as he guffawed. "I can wear out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it by chance. You are really bold to dare to face a foe god expert alone. If I kill you, I can forget about my divine beast." Chapter 2352. Baiju, who unexpectedly discovered Shaoqian's identity, rejoiced. Unexpectedly, such a good thing delivered itself to him. Right now, Shaoqian was the Bushan Palace's greatest enemy. Between Baiju and the Dragon God Crown Prince Qin Ming, only one could truly become the Dragon Emperor. If Shaoqian killed Baiju, Qin Ming would inherit his luck. The Bushan Palace's chances of starting a new epoch would increase significantly. In the end, Baiju came to the Golden Crow Empire to hunt Little Yellow Feather to increase Qin Ming's luck and strength, increasing his chances of starting a new epoch. However, the effect was far from being as fast as killing Shaoqian. Die! Baiju attacked again, still using only one hand. He held the silver pagoda in his left hand, wanting to prop up the formation sealing the capital again. The world sank into darkness again. When Shaoqian looked around, everything he saw and felt was pitch black. The city walls, the capital, the land, the mountains, the sky, the white clouds, everything that Shaoqian saw vanished. It was like he was isolated in another world, not tolerated by the world. There was no place for him in this vast world. The sense of isolation in Shaoqian's heart surged even more ferociously than the first time. Again. This time, Shaoqian did not feel surprised when Baiju used the same trick, forcing him into this strange space again. Shaoqian raised his hand and swung his tyrant saber again. All sorts of colors immediately appeared in this world. Shaoqian's sealed senses and vision recovered. The sense of isolation from the world no longer existed. Whoosh! When Shaoqian looked up, an ancient finger descended from the sky. The finger descended like it was trying to kill an ant. Shaoqian felt a vast and boundless pressure. After experiencing it once, Shaoqian was no longer as nervous as he was the first time, so he dodged in advance. Whoosh! Shaoqian's figure turned into a lightning bolt, and a resplendent saber light descended. "My divine pressure, how can you dodge it?" Baiju felt shocked. To think that Shaoqian dodged this attack. This was simply unimaginable. No sovereign emperor had ever been able to dodge a foe god's attack. After lighting up the foe god flame, one would be able to understand the nature of the world. Within a certain range, one would be like the creator of the world. It could perfectly merge with the world and release divine pressure, sealing off a sovereign emperor's senses and making the world reject the other party. If one were to advance further and become a true god, this space would be comparable to the divine kingdom. However, there were no true gods now. There were only foe gods and they could no longer materialize the divine kingdom. Even so, the divine pressure of a foe god expert was unfathomable to a sovereign emperor. With the six senses sealed, there was no way to avoid a foe god's killing move when one's soul energy, vision, hearing, smell, and touch were all rendered useless. But now, this iron rule had been broken twice by Xiao Chen. You overestimate yourself. After the shock, Baizhu calmed down. After all, Baizhu was a void god realm expert. With a raise of his hand, he neutralized Xiao Chen's saber strike, which could kill a 9-vein sovereign emperor. Then, he used 2 fingers to clamp down on the saber. Xiao Chen, who was in the air, immediately felt his saber completely restrained, unable to advance or retreat. Baizhu smiled coldly and said, "You really startle me. To think that you can dodge my killing move from my divine pressure. Unfortunately, you do not know how horrifying a foe god is." Dang! A flame appeared in Baizhu's eyes, and a vast divine might erupted from his body as he flicked his finger. The tyrant's saber immediately trembled endlessly. The force traveled along the saber, sending Xiao Chen flying back like a cannonball. Clang! Xiao Chen, who knelt on one knee, stabbed the tyrant's saber into the ground and stabilized his body. Blood leaked out of a corner of Xiao Chen's mouth, but his eyes remained calm, not showing any fluctuations. Baizhu felt startled. His earlier attack looked casual. In reality, he had already used 50% of his strength. However, the other party was not severely injured. Baiju's expression was as calm as still water, and his eyes were deep like the starry sea. It was like he was evaluating his own strength. Could he be testing out how strong a foe god is? Damn it! Shouldn't he be scared out of his wits when he sees a foe god? Baizhu seemed to feel that his pride as a foe god was being mocked. Rage surged in his heart, and he attacked again. This time, Baizhu pressed forward, and a vast and boundless divine might pressed down like an avalanche. Then, he threw a palm strike at lightning speed, a palm strike that could shatter stars. Before Baizhu arrived, a sonic boom already rang out in the air. The sound was ear-splitting like thunder, scattering the clouds for 5,000 kilometers around and revealing the boundless starry heavens dotted with stars. Xiao Chen smiled faintly, not clashing head-on with Baizhu, dodging for now. Xiao Chen's primary goal was to delay the other party and reseal the capital. His secondary goal was to verify how strong a foe god was, to see if he could defeat a foe god. The two immediately fought on the ancient city walls of the capital that had stood for tens of thousands of years. The intensity of the battle was no weaker than the fight between the two foe gods above the solar divine temple. "Your Highness the Divine Daughter, it is Xiao Chen." Hao Kai, who was responsible for protecting Ao Jiao in the distant solar divine temple, finally recognized Xiao Chen. Earlier, Hao Kai saw someone break the seal with one saber strike. Hao Kai also thought that it was a foe god's senior helping. After observing for a long time, he was shocked to discover that it was not a foe god. It was not a foe god. It was Xiao Chen. What is he doing here? That idiot. Why is he fighting a foe god? Compared to Hao Kai's excited expression, Ao Jiao showed a worried expression, continuously grumbling. In her anxiety, she did not even realize that she had called Xiao Chen an idiot again. Hao Kai asked, "Divine Daughter, should we go and help?" Right now, the nation's protective formation is fully operational. That group of people from Bushan Palace can no longer charge in. No. Ao Jiao rejected with a calm expression. Don't give him trouble. He took the risk to fight a foe god so that the nation's protective formation could operate perfectly. If we go and help, wouldn't we be wasting his efforts? Furthermore, if they got captured, it would be equivalent to harming Xiao Chen. Hao Kai asked, "What should we do, then?" Ao Jiao sighed softly. He probably does not know that we still have a backup plan and can leave. This idiot, he always likes to do things his own way. However, since he made a move, he definitely has a way to protect himself. 4 hours passed quickly after the intense battle on the city walls. Baizhu launched a frenzied attack against Xiao Chen. Aside from the silver pagoda in his left hand, he used nearly everything else he had. However, despite the other terrifying attacks, Xiao Chen did not suffer any severe injuries, aside from being in a sorry state. He was like a lone boat drifting in the wind and rain. The strong wind and heavy rain battered him, but he did not capsize. It looks like faux gods are only so-so. Xiaoqin said coldly as he held up his saber and looked at the furious Baiju, who could not do anything about it. When Baiju heard that, he smiled instead of getting angry. Is that so? In front of me, you don't even have the ability to retaliate. You can only retaliate a few times. Occasionally, you can't even injure a strand of my hair, yet you dare to mock faux gods as so-so? Indeed. Even a fatal attack against a 9-vein sovereign emperor would not be able to injure you. Without igniting the divine flame, no matter how strong my killing moves are, they would not be able to injure you. However, I do not only have these ordinary killing moves. Is that so? In that case, why don't you make a move and show me? Baiju narrowed his eyes slightly, smiling coldly in his heart. He liked the arrogant Xiaoqin. Only Baiju knew how strong a faux god was. The more Xiaoqin underestimated him, the happier Baiju was. The more arrogant Xiaoqin was, the easier it was for him to reveal openings. Baiju's repeated attacks failed to severely injure Xiaoqin, which made him look forward to Xiaoqin revealing openings in his arrogance. As you wish. The immortal vein formed by immortal burial lake among Xiaoqin's 10 divine veins stirred. An ethereal, fairy-like air appeared on Xiaoqin's body. The vast soul energy sea in Xiaoqin's soul pool surged with strong waves. The divine lightning talisman formed by the immortal epic's 10,000 tribulation divine lightning broke out of the sea. Once upon a time, the divine lightning talisman could injure a great perfection sovereign emperor with just the tip of the iceberg. Now, Xiaoqin looked forward to seeing what kind of strength this divine lightning talisman could erupt with when it was completely brought out. This is, the expression of Baiju, who was waiting for Xiaoqin to reveal an opening, changed slightly. He sensed something strange. By the time Baiju sensed something wrong and wanted to dodge, it was already too late. The divine lightning talisman came out of Xiaoqin's forehead. With a flash of light, it struck Baiju. The instant the flower blooms, it illuminates 3 lives. Before the divine lightning talisman could take effect, Xiaoqin drew Heavenly Slayer and used the cycle Great Tao to execute the 3-life flower. The past, the future, and the present. 3 blue lotus flowers, 3 figures, and 3 saber lights pierced through Baiju, who was severely injured by the divine lightning talisman. However, this was not enough. Xiaoqin gritted his teeth and roared, "Flowers bloom and flowers die, the cycle never ends." Previously, when Xiaoqin only grasped the state of cycle, he could execute 3 saber strikes with the 3-life flower. However, now, he grasped the cycle Great Tao. There were more than 3 saber strikes for the past, the future, and the present. Flowers bloomed and withered, and killing intent filled the air, filling the entire world with a somber and cold killing intent. 1,000 lotus flowers bloomed around Baiju at the same time. 1,000 Heavenly Slayer sabers containing the Heavenly Tao's killing intent pierced through his body at the same time. Today, Xiaoqin wanted to kill a god. Chapter 2353. Flowers bloom and die, reincarnation never ends. Xiaoqin first used the Thunder Divine Talisman to severely injure him. Then, he used the Cycle Great Tao to activate the 3-life flower and sent out 3 saber strikes. 1 saber strike each pierced through Baiju. However, this was still not enough. If he wanted to slay a deity, he had to go all out without holding anything back. In the time it took for a spark to fly, he pushed the Cycle Great Tao and his saber Tao to their limits. Xiaoqin's divine energy and soul energy were instantly drained. After he finished executing the move, he was already exhausted. If he failed to kill Baiju, as long as Baiju was still breathing, he could easily crush him to death. Thousands of lotuses gradually overlapped with each other. Wisps of space-time ripples appeared around Baiju's body like water ripples. Xiao. When the 2 figures completely overlapped, Baiju coughed out a mouthful of blood. He looked at the wound on his chest in disbelief. In his world, only a second had passed. He only felt that Xiao Chen had swung his saber. He simply could not understand how his physical body could be struck by more than 1,000 sabers in an instant. The scariest thing was that every saber strike was lethal. Every saber strike contained a flawless saber intent that surpassed the epic and the inextinguishable power of the cycle of seasons, continuously attacking Xiao Chen's foe god flame. If he had not been careless and allowed the Thunderbolt Divine Talisman to be heavily injured, he would still have had strength to spare even if he had been pierced by 1,000 blades. However, at this moment, the resplendent golden foe god flame in Xiao Chen's soul pool was riddled with holes. Wave after wave of saber intent infused with the power of cycles surged at the dimmed foe god flame. No matter how he struggled, he could not salvage the situation. He could only watch as his foe god flame slowly weakened and slowly extinguished. "I will kill you." Bai Ju's eyes were filled with despair. He roared and ran toward the exhausted Xiao Chen. At this moment, he only had one thought, and that was to drag Xiao Chen down with him before he died. It was like the final radiance of a setting sun, and its divine might was vast and mighty as if it had returned to its peak. Xiao Chen's expression was relaxed as he looked at the other party indifferently. Boom! Bai Ju barely managed to take a step before his body exploded with a loud bang. A brilliant flame soared into the sky. The light from the flames shone in all directions, emitting a light even more dazzling than the sun. However, although this light was resplendent, it gave off the feeling of a hero past his prime and a beauty with white hair. A sorrow that even the heavens could not suppress filled the world and permeated everyone's hearts. This made the two sides fighting in Sun God Temple in the sky above and on the ground below all stare blankly, stopping their movements. This is, a foe god has fallen. Hua! Right after the two foe god realm experts spoke, the resplendent flame appeared. It turned into a blood-red color and exploded with a loud bang. Along with the dusky sky, a blood moon descended. How is this possible? The martial god palace's foe god expert showed a numb and sluggish expression. Although in this era, it was impossible to become a true god. However, as long as one ignited the divine flame and became a foe god expert, they would not suffer from disease or calamity. It was impossible for a foe god to die. Even if they encountered great trouble, foe gods would be able to protect themselves. But today, a virtual god had actually been killed. The Sun God Temple foe god realm expert looked at Xiao Chen, who was on the city wall. Shock filled his eyes. Clearly, he was startled as well. Whoosh! Whoosh! On the city wall, Xiao Chen had just collected Bai Ju's silver pagoda when two figures descended before him. The newcomers were the two foe god realm experts of the Heavenly Alliance, Sui Renji, and the previous alliance chief, Hua Tianyang. You killed this person. Although Sui Renji did his best to suppress the fluctuations in his heart, he could not hide the shock on his face. Xiao Chen nodded. It was a fluke. If not for his carelessness, I would not have killed him. He was speaking the truth. If the other party had not received the Divine Lightning Talisman head-on, he would have died. If the other party had not taken the Divine Lightning Talisman head-on, even if Xiao Chen executed Blooming Flower Destruction and Endless Cycle, he would not have been confident of killing the other party. Or rather, if the Divine Lightning Talisman had not severely injured the other party, Xiao Chen would not have risked everything and forced himself into a desperate situation. In any case, an opportunity presented itself to Xiao Chen. Then, he took the risk and succeeded in killing a true god. Hua Tianyang sighed softly. As he looked at the blood rain falling from the sky, he said in frustration, even a foe god fell. This era is really coming to an end. Sui Renji and Hua Tianyang exchanged glances. Although they were not the ones who died, the two felt desolate and sorrowful. The era that belonged to them would eventually come to an end when the martial epoc's luck ran out. Even as foe gods, they would not be able to avoid death. God-conferring pagoda. Hua Tianyang did his best to perk up. When he saw the silver pagoda in Xiao Chen's hand, he revealed a shocked expression. Xiao Chen stepped forward and handed the silver pagoda to the other party for him to observe. It really is the God-conferring pagoda. After fiddling with it for a while, Hua Tianyang smiled and said, "This is a rare sealing-type soul treasure. It can be considered one of Bushan Palace's trump cards." There were offensive soul treasures, like the Heavenly Slayer saber in Xiao Chen's hand. There were also defensive soul treasures, like the alloy dragon armor Hua Tianyang wore. There were also offensive and defensive soul treasures, like Shi's blood dragon cloak. However, sealing-type soul treasures were very rare, extremely rare. Suiren Ji glanced at the Bushan Palace faux god who had already fled. After some thought, he said, "With this god-conferring pagoda, we can give it a try and see if we can't keep him here." Hua Tianyang handed the god-conferring pagoda to the other party and nodded. "Try to keep him here." Whoosh! After receiving the god-conferring pagoda, Suiren Ji turned into a beam of black light and gave chase in the blink of an eye. A strange look flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. What is the origin of this god-conferring pagoda? To think that Senior Suiren Ji is confident of using this pagoda to seal a faux god? Hua Tianyang thought for a while before replying, "It can't really be considered an origin. However, in Suiren Ji's hands, it can indeed bring out greater might. We can give it a try." As Hua Tianyang spoke, a few figures flew over. They were Ao Jiao, Hao Kai, and the Solar Divine Temple faux god. Hua Tianyang recognized that faux god and introduced him to Xiao Chen. This is the Solar Divine Temple's high priest. He can be considered a veteran faux god. Many thanks to Alliance Chief Hua and little brother Xiao Chen for saving my Golden Crow Empire's calamity. After the high priest stepped forward, he immediately bowed to express his gratitude. He even gave Xiao Chen a few more glances. Clearly, the high priest had already learned of Xiao Chen's identity from Ao Jiao. After a simple exchange of pleasantries, Xiao Chen sent a voice projection to Hua Tianyang, "Senior Hua, go ahead and discuss proper matters with the high priest first." Hua Tianyang glanced at Ao Jiao and entered deep thought. Then, he smiled faintly and said, "High priest, now that the Golden Crow Empire has thoroughly offended the Bushan Palace, my Heavenly Alliance is willing to protect the Golden Crow Empire with just one word from the high priest." This. The high priest hesitated somewhat. If he agreed, it would be equivalent to the Golden Crow Empire joining the Heavenly Alliance. Hua Tianyang smiled and said, "High priest, is it convenient for us to communicate in private?" "Sure." After the high priest left, Ao Jiao relaxed visibly. Then, she chided, "You idiot, you scared me to death earlier. How could you face a faux god alone?" Xiao Chen felt warmth in his heart. He smiled but did not reply. "You are still smiling? I will hit you." Seeing that Xiao Chen only knew how to smile without replying, Ao Jiao pretended to be angry as she stretched out her hand to slap him. Who knew? Xiao Chen did not dodge. Ao Jiao just stretched out her hand and touched Xiao Chen's face. The atmosphere immediately turned somewhat strange. Hao Kai showed an awkward expression as he performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Your Highness the Divine Daughter, I'll return first to deal with the follow-up matters of the Divine Temple." Ao Jiao pinched Xiao Chen's cheek, blushing slightly. Then, she turned her head to the side and said, "Just this once." "Got it." Xiao Chen stretched out his hands and gently pinched Ao Jiao's cheeks as he smiled faintly. "You." Clearly, Ao Jiao was caught off guard by Xiao Chen's sudden attack. Her heart thumped wildly, and she asked only after a while, Why are you here in the Golden Crow Empire?" "I came to see you. However, I happened to run into this matter. Where's little yellow feather? Why don't I see it?" Xiao Chen appeared very natural. Back when he saw Shi Wangmu turn to dust, he had figured out many things. Treasure the people who love you and don't make them cry. At the mention of little yellow feather, Ao Jiao's expression recovered to normal. She said angrily, "Those people from the Bushan Palace are too much of a bastard. To think that they want to capture little yellow feather and make it Qin Ming's divine pet. Little yellow feather is currently absorbing the ancestors' inheritance in the solar divine pool. When it comes out, I will definitely go with it to meet that dragon god crown prince. Coincidentally, I want to go as well. Let's meet up in the Divine Dragon Empire 5 days later. When Ao Jiao heard that, her expression changed slightly. She knew that Xiao Chen would definitely go to the Divine Dragon Empire. However, based on Xiao Chen's words, it seemed like he still had something to do and did not intend to go with her. You still have something to do? Xiao Chen nodded. After some thought, he said, with the Heavenly Alliance's protection, the Bushan Palace will not dare to seek trouble for the Golden Crow Empire. At that time, you can go with the seniors of the Golden Crow Empire. I will meet up with you on time. A reluctance to part appeared in Ao Jiao's heart. However, she understood Xiao Chen the best. She knew that he would not change his mind once he made up his mind. Be careful. I'll wait for you, Ao Jiao said with a grave expression. I'll be fine. Xiao Chen thought for a while. Now that he could even kill foe gods, going to the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison to rescue the previous generation Heaven Dragon should not be a problem. Chapter 2354. The Starry Heavens Dragon Prison locked up all the Divine Dragon Empire's sovereign personage and above criminals. It was deployed in the vast and boundless Starry Heavens. The vast Starry Sea was vast. The Starry Heavens Dragon Prison was like a beacon in the boundless Starry Heavens. Searching blindly was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Xiao Chen once went there with the Heaven Dragon Palace's second palace master and had some impression of it. Even so, it took 3 days for Xiao Chen to find the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison. The vast Starry Heavens were boundless and boundless. Xiao Chen stood on an asteroid the size of a city. When he looked around, he saw hundreds of thousands of asteroids of various sizes forming a vast and vast formation. In the depths, it was like standing in the middle of a boundless ocean, vast and boundless. Using the stars as the stones and the starry heavens as the foundation to lay this horrifying formation. As Xiao Chen stood at the edge, he could clearly feel the vast and peerless pressure. When looking into the distance, he was horrified to discover dense essence and killing intent gathering at the center of the formation in the asteroid belt. Countless negative emotions and resentment intertwined and condensed into a terrifying human face. Thousands of faces struggled and twisted under the skin of the human face. Xiao Chen recalled the first time he saw this. At that time, his cultivation was too low, so he did not dare to look at it. Now that he looked at it again, it was less shocking, but that was all. Drip. Drip. The sound of water dripping came from the depths of the asteroid belt. Every time a drop landed, it made one's heart tremble and soul tremble. Xiao Chen knew that this was the Heaven Dragon's heart blood continuously dripping. Closing his eyes, Xiao Chen recalled the steps that the second palace master once took. With his current strength, he could definitely kill his way in without any fear. However, he was going to save someone, not to flaunt his strength. It would be pointless if he startled the Heaven Dragon and caused the Heaven Dragon's death. After a while, Xiao Chen opened his eyes and gently leaped up, landing on an asteroid. The formation formed by thousands of asteroids immediately spun continuously, moving the might of the world. Even a sovereign emperor would have to be careful and not be careless. With a relaxed expression, Xiao Chen followed the second palace master's footsteps in his memory and went deeper. The magnificent meteor formation revolved slowly without any ripples. After a while, Xiao Chen was not far from the core of the formation. At the center of the formation, the distorted human face formed by endless killing intent, resentment, anger, and hatred grew clearer and clearer. It's still the same. Xiao Chen sighed softly. The Starry Sky Dragon Penitentiary had not changed much since his last visit. His gaze pierced through the layers of fog. Under the distorted human face was a black dragon city that shone with a metallic luster. Draconic Prison City. He had finally arrived. Xiao Chen spread out his soul power and sensed the experts in the city. He was extremely cautious. In the center of Dragon City, on an altar, there was a pillar of Heaven Dragon that was as beautiful as fresh blood. On top of the dragon pillar, there was a long sword that exuded a chilly aura. This sword has an impressive background. Previously, Xiaochen had not noticed it. Now, he could tell that this sword had many tricks up its sleeves. This sword stabbed into the Heaven Dragon pillar should be no weaker than the Golden Dragon race's Emperor Dragon sword. Xiaochen ignored this sword for now. Chains flickering with a dark light bound a petrified cultivator under the Heaven Dragon pillar. Even though that cultivator was petrified, his eyes still sparkled with vigor, filled with spirituality. The petrified cultivator was the previous generation Heaven Dragon, Jiang He's father. A fierce divine flame burned on the altar, making the Heaven Dragon pillar as hot as molten lava all year round. There was a sword wound on the petrified cultivator's chest. His heart blood dripped down continuously. The dragon pillar, which should have been fiery red, looked as beautiful as fresh blood after being watered with the heart blood. Even though Xiaochen had seen it once before, he still felt shocked when he saw it again. What a cruel method. The purple gold dragon emperor was truly deranged. However, what impressed Xiaochen even more was the special aura of the previous generation Heaven Dragon. That was a boldness that encompassed the entire dragon city. The dragon prison filled with sin and negative emotions could not make him sink into depravity. Xiaochen clearly suffered, but he did not show any rage or helplessness. After concealing his aura, Xiaochen perfectly merged into the dark space. Then, he leaped off the meteor. Without startling anyone in the dragon city, Xiaochen silently landed on the altar without anyone noticing. Whoosh! Xiaochen felt the flame on the altar at close range. A surging heat wave surged over like a surging sea of fire. The surging dragon might contained within the flame surged over. What a fellow! Not only did this flame have a startling heat wave, but it could also invade a cultivator's soul. Xiaochen gently waved his sleeves and casually scattered the surging heat wave. Then, he stabilized himself. Blue Dragon's descendant, we meet again. The previous generation Heaven Dragon's hoarse voice rang out in Xiaochen's mind. Clearly, he was still alive. I'm here to save you. I already went to the Blue Dragon's old land and obtained the Blue Dragon's inheritance. I still have some questions that I want to ask you. While speaking to the previous generation Heaven Dragon, Xiaochen sized up the Heaven Dragon pillar and the surrounding seal. Xiaochen thought about how to break the seal and rescue Jiang He. Don't. There is an old monster here, a nine-veined sovereign emperor. He is even more horrifying than a faux god. Leave quickly. No matter how strong you are not a match for him in this starry Heaven's Dragon prison. Unexpectedly, the previous generation Heaven Dragon directly told Xiaochen to leave quickly. What a strange aura, both familiar and strange. Just as Xiaochen was about to speak, a black-clad old man suddenly appeared at the top of the Heaven Dragon pillar, where the black sword was stabbed. Suddenly, a black-robed old man appeared and muttered to himself. His voice was old and hoarse, like an ancient hourglass that was slowly flowing. Just as Xiaochen was about to move, an overwhelming killing intent assaulted his entire body, sending a chill through him. An unprecedented danger, a killing intent that he had not felt even when facing Baiju, enveloped Xiaochen. Retreat. Xiaochen immediately made up his mind to retreat 500,000 kilometers away, leaving the Dragon City and landing in an asteroid belt. As the asteroid circled the Dragon City, Xiaochen looked at the black-clad old man. Whoosh! Nearly the instant Xiaochen landed on the asteroid and looked up, the black-clad old man drew the black sword stabbed into the dragon pillar. In the blink of an eye, the black-clad old man arrived before Xiaochen. Then, he did not hesitate to pierce Xiaochen's heart. In the time it took for a spark to fly, a vast and boundless sword intent charged over at incredible speed. Dang! Xiaochen did not even have time to think. He instantly drew Heavenly Slayer and blocked this sword. The saber and sword clashed, producing a loud sound. The horrifying impact knocked Xiaochen back 50 kilometers. How strong! As Xiaochen looked at the black-clad old man, he felt greatly startled. This black-clad old man was very strong, but the sword in his hand was even stronger. When Xiao Chen looked carefully, he was somewhat surprised to discover that this old man's eyes were empty. He was completely blind. Bang! The blind old man's wrist, which held the sword, shook gently, and an endless stream of black sword light swept out. Xiao Chen did not dare to be careless. He brought out his flawless saber Dao to its limits. He used the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique to clash with the other party, sending out many sword lights. This person before Xiao Chen was supported by a formation in this asteroid belt. Furthermore, that black sword contained an incredibly heavy, destructive sword intent. The pressure that it gave Xiao Chen surpassed that of Baiju's earlier pressure. In the blink of an eye, the two exchanged 100 moves. Xiao Chen relied on the cycle Great Dao and the recovery ability of life and death to block the other party's attacks. Timing, geography, and people worked together. This created an unparalleled advantage for the blind old man. Coupled with the other party's experienced mental state, Xiao Chen could not find any openings. On the other hand, Xiao Chen revealed some openings several times amid the other party's surging attacks. Xiao Chen did not know whether the other party was overly suspicious or did not want to take risks, but he did not grasp these openings. While Xiao Chen felt lucky, he also felt some doubt. Go. I should not be a match for you outside. However, you are not a match for me in this starry heaven's dragon prison. A hoarse voice rang out. After the blind old man gained the upper hand, he tried to dissuade the other party. Sorry, since I'm already here, I do not intend to return empty-handed. Whoosh! A flash of electric light came from Xiao Chen's forehead, illuminating the eternally dark starry heaven's dragon prison. The divine lightning talisman appeared before the blind old man at a horrifying speed. The blind old man's expression changed slightly. He slowly raised his left hand, and the hundreds of thousands of meteors under his feet continuously gathered in his hand. As the meteors entered, the flow of time in front of him seemed to slow down. The explosive speed of the divine lightning talisman actually slowed down. Boom! When the divine lightning talisman finally arrived before the blind old man, a star chart made up of hundreds of thousands of meteors blocked the blind old man's path. In an instant, this star chart shattered. However, the divine lightning talismans might also decrease significantly, allowing the blind old man to block it with his sword. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Given this, even if he executed flower blooming and flower extinguishing without stopping, he would not be able to kill the other party. Lord Dragon Sovereign, he is the blue dragon's descendant. He is Xiao Chen, the Xiao Chen that I once told you about. Just at this moment, a figure weaved through the shock waves generated by the two's exchange with great difficulty. This person rushed over with all his might, showing an anxious expression as he shouted at the blind old man. Xiao Chen looked around. When he saw that it was the Heaven Dragon Palace's first palace master, he was immediately shocked. The first palace master addressed this person as Lord Dragon Sovereign. Could this blind old man be the Shadow Dragon Sovereign? No wonder this aura feels both familiar and strange. Blind old man greets Lord Blue Dragon King. When the black-clad old man heard the first palace master's words, his attitude changed drastically. He knelt down with his sword in hand and slammed it down heavily. Chapter 2355. Withdraw. The blind old man's sudden change in attitude startled Xiao Chen. Then, he quickly withdrew the divine lightning talisman into his forehead. Xiao Chen flew forward and helped the blind old man up. The battle between the two rivaled that of foe gods, producing shock waves and lingering mysterious phenomena. Even sovereign emperors had to tread carefully, like they were treading on thin ice. The first palace master put in a lot of effort before arriving beside the two. He first bowed to the blind old man before looking at Xiao Chen with an extremely complicated expression. First palace master, receive Xiao Chen's bow. When Xiao Chen saw the first palace master again, all sorts of emotions welled up in his heart. Without much thought, Xiao Chen directly knelt on the asteroid fragment and kowtowed heavily. It was hard to imagine how much danger the first palace master had taken back then. Shao Chen dared to save him from the hands of Ancestor Dragon City's people while he could have died at any moment. There was no way Shao Chen could repay such kindness. Waves appeared in the blind old man's heart. Clearly, he was shocked by Shao Chen's actions. Despite Shao Chen's age and current strength, he did not put on any pretense before his benefactor. I can't accept this. I can't. The first palace master was startled as well. He quickly helped Shao Chen up and smiled. There is no need to be so polite. Ha ha ha. I've been living quite well over the years. Shao Chen stood up. However, he had thought things through. Back in the Heaven Dragon Palace, the first palace master had taken good care of Shao Chen. The first palace master took good care of the first palace master. He could be said to be half a master, forever a senior. Even if the first palace master had not risked his life to save Shao Chen in Divine Dragon City, he should have maintained a respectful heart. Later, Shao Chen heard from the third palace master that he had been locked up for 100 years. Unexpectedly, he was locked up in the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison, a place akin to hell on earth. If the first palace master had known, he would have risked his life to save Shao Chen long ago. Now that Shao Chen thought about it, the third palace master must have known about Shao Chen's temper. The third palace master did not dare to tell Shao Chen the truth so that Shao Chen would feel less guilty and cultivate in peace. The first palace master smiled and said, Lord Dragon Sovereign took care of me in the starry heavenly dragon prison, so I did not suffer much. Shao Chen, let me introduce you. This is the Divine Dragon Empire's Shadow Dragon Sovereign. After something happened to you, the Blood Dragon Guards secretly escorted you out of the Divine Dragon Empire. This was Lord Dragon Sovereign's order. Thank you, Senior, for helping me back then. The blind old man waved his hand and said, Blue Dragon King, you are being too polite. Back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor created our Blood Dragon Guards. From the moment it was established, it obeyed only the Blue Dragon bloodline. After the Blue Dragon bloodline was destroyed, it became loyal only to the Divine Dragon Empire. I will not respect the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor and wait for the Blue Dragon's descendant to appear. Now that the Blue Dragon King has appeared, I know your orders. Shao Chen came to a sudden realization. So that was how it was. It was similar to what he had thought back then. The Blood Dragon Guards were indeed the backup that the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor left behind, a secret force that helped the Blue Dragon bloodline rise. Lord Dragon Sovereign, what do you mean by the Blue Dragon King? The first palace master listened very carefully. From the start to the end, the Shadow Dragon Sovereign addressed Shao Chen as the Blue Dragon King. The blind old man nodded and said, Milord has the royal bloodline of the Blue Dragon bloodline. It is the royal Blue Dragon bloodline acknowledged by the ancient dragon god for a long time. If I guessed right, Lord Blue Dragon King must have obtained the royal genealogical record and added his true name in it. The first palace master asked excitedly, Shao Chen, is this true? Shao Chen nodded and said, Senior Dragon Sovereign is right. I have indeed obtained the royal genealogical record. After I save the Heaven Dragon, I will be going to the Divine Dragon Empire. At the same time, Shao Chen gave a detailed explanation of the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's plot to abdicate the throne to Qin Ming. Humph. The Bushan Palace has always been the Holy Lord's pawn, and this Purple Gold Dragon Emperor has always been the Holy Lord's lackey. In the past, everyone held back because they were not a match for him, unable to resist the Bushan Palace. Now that Lord Blue Dragon King has brought the royal genealogical record, my Blood Dragon Guards will definitely do our best to protect him. The blind old man snorted coldly. Clearly, he had long been dissatisfied with the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. From the blind old man's words, it was clear that the Blue Dragon bloodline was no longer around. He was only loyal to the Divine Dragon Empire and never truly trusted the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Shao Chen rejoiced in his heart. With the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's help and the first palace master's rallying power among the mixed blood dragons, he would not have to worry about anything on this trip. With Wang Zhe's genealogical record and the Heavenly Alliance's support, he would not have to worry about anything on this trip. Lord Dragon Sovereign, what is the origin of the sword in your hand? Xiao Chen could not help asking as he glanced at the black sword. The blind old man explained, this is the Black Dragon King's sword, the god-killing sword. The blood-soaked Dragon Emperor bestowed it to the Blood Dragon Guards and passed it down to me. I can only bring out less than 1% of its might. If I unleashed all of its power, even I would be devoured. Less than 1% of its might was already so horrifying. It turned out that it was the Black Dragon King's god-killing sword. After a pause, the blind old man continued, however, the saber in your hand has a great origin as well. I feel that you have not brought out the full might of this saber either. Xiao Chen felt startled. Although this Lord Dragon Sovereign was blind, he was not blind. Although this Lord Dragon Sovereign was blind, his ability to see through everything was hundreds or even thousands of times more powerful than that of some people with good eyesight. The true might of Heavenly Slayer could only be brought out when it perfectly merged with the Heavenly Tao killing formation. Senior, can you let out Senior Heaven Dragon? After chatting idly, Xiao Chen got to the point. Most of the people locked up here are dragon race traders or people who committed heinous crimes. However, the previous generation Heaven Dragon is not one of them. Naturally, this old man will obey the Blue Dragon King's orders. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two followed the blind old man. With a few flashes, they arrived at the Dragon City and stood before the Heaven Dragon Pillar. The blind old man ferociously swung the god-killing sword in his hand, sweeping away the divine flame on the altar. Dang! 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 A few more sword lights flashed. Ding! Ding! Dang! The chains binding the Heaven Dragon all shattered. I can undo these seals. However, I cannot remove the curse that the purple gold Dragon Emperor left on the Heaven Dragon's physical body. The so-called curse should be the petrified physical body of the Heaven Dragon. Let me take a look. Xiao Chen arrived beside the Heaven Dragon and reached into the Heaven Dragon's body. Then, he frowned slightly. The previous generation Heaven Dragon sighed, it should be very difficult to deal with, right? This is a curse secret technique that the Holy Lord taught him. It is activated with a soul treasure. Back then, if not for this curse, how could the purple gold Dragon Emperor defeat me? After withdrawing his hand, Xiao Chen did not rush to return. After some thought, he asked, back then, why did you fight with the purple gold Dragon Emperor? I don't believe it was for the Dragon Emperor position. The blind old man replied, he went to the Blue Dragon's old land and learned that the Golden Dragon bloodline is just the Holy Lord's lackey. In his impulse, he wanted to change the situation by himself. The first palace master sighed softly, back then, I advised him to endure and not do anything. There is no need to mention the past. Thank you. The Heaven Dragon smiled faintly, not regretting his hot-bloodedness back then, which resulted in decades of torture. Have you thought about Jiang He? Xiao Chen suddenly said, after you left, he must have suffered a great grievance. When he was unconscious in the ethereal Immortal Palace, he kept calling out your name, continuously asking why you did not tell him. I feel that he should not mind the grievance and pain he suffered all these years. He only minded his father not telling him. Jiang He, at the mention of Jiang He, the previous generation Heaven Dragon could not control his emotions. A tear leaked out of his petrified body. Let me help you remove the curse. Without saying anything more, Xiao Chen landed a palm strike on the Heaven Dragon's petrified body. The cycle Great Tao circulated, and life and death cycled. A vast and boundless life force poured into the Heaven Dragon's body, slowly battering the curse seed in it. This is... The blind old man felt startled. Xiao Chen was going to use force to break the curse, directly using the boundless life force to destroy the curse's root. However, such a method required an extremely vast amount of life force. Could it be that Xiao Chen is going to use his life origin energy to help remove the curse? No, this is the cycle Great Tao. When the blind old man recalled Xiao Chen's horrifying recovery ability when he fought him, he came to a realization. Even so, it still required a vast amount of divine energy and a long time. Blue Dragon King, I'll help you. The blind old man took a step forward, and the dense divine energy in his body entered Xiao Chen's body without hesitation. Many thanks. With the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's help, Xiao Chen's efficiency immediately increased significantly. The Heaven Dragon's petrified lower body slowly turned illusory. In just a moment, it recovered its physical body. Xiao Chen persisted. An hour later, the Heaven Dragon's physical body was completely restored. Crack! Xiao Chen used his boundless life force to forcefully destroy the curse's root in the Heaven Dragon's body. The Heaven Dragon was incredibly excited, showing a spirited expression. He wished he could raise his head to the sky and roar. After so many years, he finally regained his freedom. Congratulations, Senior. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. He believed that Jiang He would feel gratified to see his father return in the Divine Dragon Empire. After some thought, the blind old man said, "Everyone, rest first. Wait for me to make arrangements. We will return to the Divine Dragon Empire 2 days later. I want to see how the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor will pass his throne to Qin Ming." Now that everything was ready, all they needed to do was wait, and they could charge back to the Divine Dragon Empire. Chapter 2356. Ancestor Dragon City. This was the most ancient dragon city in the Divine Dragon Empire. It had been passed down for a long time. Only the most talented dragon race disciples in the empire had the qualifications to reside there. Those who could enter were either cultivators with divine dragon bloodlines or extremely talented mixed-blood dragon cultivators. Normally, it was not open to the public. It would only be open to the public during grand ceremonies or extremely important events. Clearly, the battle for the Dragon Emperor was a major event. Compared to offering sacrifices to the Dragon God, it was not much different. In the Divine Dragon Empire, the Dragon Emperor could reign for only 500 years. After that, there would be a new competition. However, ever since the Blue Dragon bloodline had been exterminated, the position of Dragon Emperor was almost always held by the Golden Dragon bloodline. The other Divine Dragon bloodlines could not compete with it at all. The current Dragon Emperor was the Golden Dragon clan's Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. According to the clan's rules, he could continue to reign for another 10 years. However, he chose to abdicate on his own accord today to compete for the position of Dragon Emperor again. The 6-colored divine dragons and the Heaven Dragon made up of mixed-blood dragons were qualified to send one person to compete for the Dragon Emperor position. It was said to be a competition, but anyone with a discerning eye knew. Qin Ming had already obtained the inheritance of the Bushin Palace and was now a 9-veined sovereign emperor with a grade 7 golden dragon bloodline. The others simply could not compete with him. The so-called competition was just a formality. The upper echelon of the 6-colored divine dragons and the Heaven Dragon Palace had already arrived at Ancestor Dragon City's Dragon God Plaza. The ancient Dragon God Square was vast and boundless. The Dragon God statue stood tall and dignified. Many figures filled the plaza. All the elite cultivators in Ancestor Dragon City had rushed over. Dragons gathered from all directions, and the wind and clouds surged. The 6-colored divine dragons were the Gold Dragon, Silver Dragon, White Dragon, Blue Dragon, Green Dragon, and Red Dragon. Now that they had all arrived, they were all gathered in one place. The Golden Dragon race was the mightiest. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor sat on the throne, and many Golden Dragon race experts stood around him. Apart from that, there were also other experts from the Great Desolate Era Bloodline Empire who had come to observe the ceremony. Surrounded by the stars, Qin Ming wore the Golden Dragon holy armor. Coupled with his handsome appearance, he looked extraordinarily heroic and outstanding. The dragon might of the primordial Golden Dragon emanated from his body, giving off a strong oppressive force. Even though everyone here was a sovereign emperor with the bloodline of the Golden Dragon race and the other empires, they still felt significant pressure. Bai Yunfei and Xiahou Zun from the White Marsh Beast Empire sighed inwardly. The one who obtained the inheritance of Bushin Palace and became the son of an era that Bushin Palace focused on nurturing had already left the two of them in the dust. Qin Ming, the battle to become the Dragon Emperor this time is none other than you. I think that the competitors from the other 5 colored divine dragons are not even a tenth as good as you. Bai Yunfei said in a relaxed manner after looking around and sizing up the competitors of the various schools. Qin Ming said coolly, the position of Dragon Emperor is definitely mine. The entire Bushin Palace supports me. Who dares to oppose me? I just want to know whether Shao Chen dares to come or not. At the mention of Shao Chen, Qin Ming's eyes revealed a thick murderous intent. That hatred was frightening. Bai Yunfei and Xiahou Zun both knew that Shao Chen once crushed Qin Ming into meat paste in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb. Qin Ming nearly died. The name Shao Chen had already become taboo to Qin Ming. The others simply did not dare to mention it in front of him. That Jiang He seems somewhat unfathomable. Xiahou Zun said softly as he pointed to the southwest of the plaza, where the Heaven Dragon Palace was. After Jiang He arrived in the Divine Dragon Empire, he naturally obtained a spot in the Heaven Dragon Palace with his status as a Heaven Dragon descendant. Qin Ming showed a cold expression as he said indifferently, I heard that he refined the entire ethereal Immortal Palace and completely comprehended the mysteries of the Heaven Dragon. He is an opponent worth paying attention to. However, that is all. That person is the top beauty of your dragon race? Bai Yunfei's gaze fell on the opposite side of the plaza, where the White Dragon Palace's people gathered. Within the vast crowd of people, there was a beautiful figure. Her style was unmatched, and her temperament was otherworldly. She had a face that could topple cities, and there was a myriad of charm to her. She was easily recognized. Strong possessiveness flashed in Qin Ming's eyes. He snorted coldly and said, that's right. It is her, Lu Riyue. This woman has always been cold to me. She even gave me a bad look in public several times. Let's see how she dares to reject me after I become the Dragon Emperor. Xiahou Zun smiled and said, in that case, I'll congratulate Brother Qin in advance. You obtained both the country and the beauty. At this moment, where the White Dragon Palace's people gathered, a girl beside Lu Riyue frowned and said, elder sister, that Qin Ming is looking at you like a thief again. He must be up to something. This girl was Lu Riyun, the White Dragon King's daughter, the White Dragon race's little princess. Let him be. Someone will deal with him. Lu Riyun showed a somewhat sad expression. There was practically no suspense in this fight to become the Dragon Emperor. No one expected the Bushin Palace to interfere in the fight to become the Dragon Emperor. If Qin Ming had not obtained the Bushin Palace's inheritance, Lu Riyue would have been strong enough to fight him. Given Lu Riyue's strength, she could still fight against him. Now, he was being nurtured as an epic son. Qin Ming was a 9-vein sovereign emperor. Furthermore, he had awakened his ancient golden dragon bloodline. The other competitors, including Lu Riyue, would not be a match for him. The so-called fight to become the Dragon Emperor was just a show to justify the other party's ascension to the Dragon Emperor position. However, Lu Riyue had heard that there was an overt scheme in this fight to become the Dragon Emperor. Someone had secretly allied the epic masters of the righteous Tao and demonic Tao to kill the person who betrayed the empire. That person had fought against Yuan Zhen, who possessed the entire Buddhist nation, by himself in the Yanwu dynasty. That person had not been at a disadvantage against Yuan Zhen and left calmly. That person's terrifying strength inspired fear in all the other epic masters. After learning that Qin Ming would definitely come to Ancestor Dragon City to participate in the fight to become the Dragon Emperor, they worked together to lay a trap. Then, they would turn this place into his burial ground. For some reason, Lu Riyue felt worried in her heart, hoping that that person would not appear. There was a vague figure lingering in the depths of her memory. However, no matter how hard she tried, she could not recall who it was. Riyue, what are you thinking? The White Dragon King asked softly as he walked over and looked at Lu Riyue. Lu Riyue recovered her wits and replied softly, I'm thinking that since it is just a formality, can we choose to give up? That's right. Father, why put on an act? Why give him a legitimate chance to ascend to the Dragon Emperor position? Lu Riyun said quickly, clearly in agreement. A pained expression flashed in the White Dragon King's eyes. He smiled bitterly and said, "The other divine dragon palaces are thinking the same thing. However, we need to continue this act. This is because we have the dragon race bloodline flowing in our veins. Our fates are firmly tied to the empire, we cannot break free." "Father, if you had known that the fight to become the Dragon Emperor would end up like this back then, would you still have nurtured me to fight for the Dragon Emperor position?" Lu Ryue asked softly. The White Dragon King's heart skipped a beat. As Lu Ryue grew stronger, she could already feel that some of her memories were missing. However, Lu Ryue had never doubted him to his face. It was clear that she still respected this father of hers in name. "If I had a choice, I would never let you participate in the battle of the Dragon Emperor," the White Dragon King said directly without hesitation. Many years ago, when he first met Xiao Chen, a certain thought in the depths of his heart had already been shaken. Was bringing Lu Ryue from the Sky Dome realm to the Great Thousand Realms a wrong decision for the sake of the White Dragon race? To be honest, he was at a loss. If that person really came, then, with Xiao Chen's current strength, how was Xiao Chen supposed to face him? If he could, like Lu Ryue, he hoped that Xiao Chen would not come. Xiao. At this moment, the radiance of the blazing sun shone on the majestic dragon god statue. All of a sudden, dazzling golden light shone brilliantly. The ancient dragon god statue stood at the center of the dragon god plaza, rising proudly like a towering mountain. The most eye-catching thing was its vigorous dragon claw. Under the dragon god's gaze, it looked very divine. The time is up. The competition to become the Dragon Emperor officially begins. Palace Masters, please send out the candidates of your palaces. Whoever can climb onto the dragon claw and receive the gaze of the dragon god will become the new Dragon Emperor. The purple-gold Dragon Emperor announced loudly as he stood up from his throne. After speaking, the Red Dragon Palace's candidate, Murong Yen, was the first to arrive. Like a meteor, he landed heavily on the Dragon God Plaza, causing a fiery light to spread out. The Blue Dragon Palace's Situ Changfeng leaped up gently and followed closely behind. One candidate after another landed on the Dragon God Plaza. However, they did not attract much cheers or attention. Everyone knew that there was not much suspense in this competition to become the Dragon Emperor. Only when Jiang He arrived did he attract some attention. After all, the Heaven Dragon was a respectable existence in the Divine Dragon Empire. Jiang He could inherit his father's will and comprehend the Heaven Dragon's mysteries, which made some people view him in a different light. Boom! A vast, ancient dragon might suddenly burst out. It was Qin Ming arriving at the Dragon God Plaza. When Qin Ming unleashed his 9-vein Sovereign Emperor cultivation, he instantly outshone the other 6. As the ancient golden dragon might roared, he attracted everyone's attention and startled cries. Qin Ming's might was much stronger than that of many older generation 9-vein sovereign emperors. Jiang He did not look at Qin Ming. Instead, his gaze fell on the dragon god statue. The statue was 30 kilometers tall, towering over the vast plaza. Even at the periphery, one could clearly feel the dragon god's might and pressure. If one approached, this might and pressure would be even more horrifying. Qin Ming's cultivation base and the primordial golden dragon bloodline gave him an absolute advantage. Indeed, after Qin Ming arrived at the Dragon God Plaza, he took the lead and charged over. Whoosh! 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 After crossing the periphery, many ancient dragon generals materialized in the Dragon God Plaza. It was like they traveled through the great desolate Aeon, arriving in heavy armor. They stopped everyone from advancing, swearing to defend the dragon god's might to the death. Qin Ming showed a disdainful expression as he wielded the Emperor Dragon's sword and moved about fearlessly. He left a trail of dust in his wake, easily shattering the dragon generals that materialized in one exchange. In mere moments, the distance between him and the others became clear. In the end, he is the Qin Ming who obtained the inheritance of the Bushan Palace. Such grace has never been seen in the previous Dragon Emperor races. He's too strong. He's advancing so quickly. I'm afraid he's going to create an unprecedented record. Those ancient dragon generals are so weak before him. Indeed. If not for Situ Changfeng, Murong Yen, and the others fighting bitterly, others would think that they are just decorations. Qin Ming's unrivaled grace won the applause of the crowd. The dragon race disciples gathered in the surroundings were all shocked. Just as Qin Ming was about to enter the dragon god domain and formally climb the dragon god statue, the entire ancestor dragon city suddenly shook. The entire ancestor dragon city suddenly trembled. A melodious saber hum rang out. A saber light covered the blazing sun in the sky for 5,000 kilometers around. The sky instantly turned dark. The eyes of Ao Jiao and the Heavenly Alliance experts where the Heaven Dragon Palace was gathered lit up. Shao Chen is here. Chapter 2357. Qin Ming's aura was flourishing in Dragon God Plaza. When this strange change happened, his expression changed slightly. Qin Ming had charged forward courageously in Dragon God Plaza, getting into a killing frenzy. He had thought that Shao Chen would not come. Who knew, just as Qin Ming prepared to enter the Dragon God's domain and climb the Dragon God statue, Shao Chen suddenly appeared. I can't be bothered with you. I'll climb the Dragon God statue first before settling the score with you. Qin Ming quickly made up his mind to continue forward and enter the Dragon God's domain. As for Shao Chen, there were so many experts in the Bushan Palace, they were not just for show. It would not be that easy for him to cause trouble. Kill him. The purple gold dragon emperor ordered mercilessly from the throne with a cold expression. Whoosh! 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 The many foe gods from the Bushan Palace immediately soared into the air to attack Shao Chen. Protect Shao Chen, Mu Zifeng said softly with a faint smile. Mu Zifeng, who was with the Heaven Dragon Palace's group, smiled faintly and said softly. Whoosh! Under the lead of Sui Renji and Hua Tianyang, the hidden Heavenly Alliance foe gods blocked this group of foe gods with ferocious auras. The large number of foe gods in the sky above Ancestor Dragon City instantly fought, looking like they would tear the entire sky apart. The purple gold dragon emperor sat on the throne on the tall platform, not showing any surprise on his face. He had expected that this group of Heavenly Alliance foe gods would come to support Shao Chen long ago. With the support of Ancestor Dragon City's formation, this group of foe gods would not be able to cause too much of a stir. As for Shao Chen, there were plenty of people to deal with him. There was no need for him to expose too many of his trump cards. Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, you lackey. Do you still remember me, Jiang Tian? Just at this moment, a ferocious roar resounded throughout the entire Ancestor Dragon City. The Heaven Dragon's rage. The dragon roar unique to the Heaven Dragon roared in all directions, shaking the sky. This dragon roar suppressed the might of the battle between the foe gods in the sky. What's going on? The voice that the purple gold dragon emperor had not heard in a long time suddenly appeared. The expression of the confident purple gold dragon emperor changed drastically. Xiao. The figure of the previous generation Heaven Dragon Jiang Tian arrived in the blink of an eye and landed on the tall building opposite Dragon God Plaza. Shao Chen looked down at the purple gold dragon emperor from above. A boundless fighting spirit blazed in his eyes, and his dragon might blazed like a fierce fire. That pure heaven dragon battle will attracted the attention of countless dragon race martial artists. The heaven dragon was a special bloodline that surpassed the six-veined divine dragons. It would forever be a legend of the dragon race. Although the Divine Dragon Empire had not seen Jiang He for many years, Jiang He's story had been circulating in private. Heaven Dragon's might. It really is the Heaven Dragon. Is he that Jiang He who offended the Emperor's might and was imprisoned in the Starry Dragon Penitentiary? Why did he come out? This dragon might is so terrifying. The shock that Jiang He brought was even greater than that of the group of foe gods in the Astral War. You dragon race traitor, you are truly bold. To think that you dare to come to Ancestor Dragon City. Six-colored divine dragons, listen up. Kill him. The purple gold dragon emperor did his best to suppress the shock in his heart. He recalled that this was Ancestor Dragon City, where all the experts of the dragon race gathered. As the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor could command the dragons. There was no need to fear this Jiang Tian. After all, the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor controlled the dragon races, the Arch Seal. The older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City had to obey his orders. Who dares to attack? A hoarse voice came from behind Jiang Tian. Then, the Shadow Dragon Sovereign swung the god-slaying sword in his hand. Ta! 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 Inside Ancestor Dragon City, the Blood Dragon guards riding great desolate and mutated beasts wore scarlet masks and battle armor. More than 1,000 Blood Dragon guards rushed over from all directions. Without exception, they were all Sovereign Emperor experts. The Blood Dragon Guards was a faction of the Blue Dragon bloodline that the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor personally established. After enduring for tens of thousands of years, the Blood Dragon Guards unleashed all their accumulations. The might that erupted startled the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Lord Dragon Sovereign. The older generation dragon race experts of Ancestor Dragon City clearly recognized the blind old man and respected him. When the blind old man appeared, they were incredibly shocked and no longer dared to attack. The blind old man said indifferently, "The fight to become the Dragon Emperor will continue. Right now, we are only dealing with the grudge between Jiang Tian and the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Those who trust me, the blind old man, do not interfere for now. I will give you an explanation after this. Since Lord Dragon Sovereign has spoken, naturally, we do not dare to be rash." Although the blind old man spent most of his time in the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison, the older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City still respected him. After the blind old man guaranteed his reputation, these older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City chose to remain neutral for now. "Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, do you dare to fight me head-on again?" Jiang Tian glared at the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor as he issued a challenge. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor cursed in his heart. The appearance of Jiang Tian and the blind old man completely disrupted his plans. This was especially so for this group of older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City to not listen to his orders. This embarrassed him even more. "I already defeated you before. How hard is it to defeat you again?" Rage filled the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's heart. He ferociously slammed the armrest of his throne and soared into the air, charging at Jiang Tian. The series of strange changes not only disrupted the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's plans but also caught the hidden epic science off guard. Unexpectedly, such a dramatic scene could happen in Ancestor Dragon City. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor immediately panicked, allowing Shao Chen to soar through the air and land in Dragon God Plaza. Good timing. When Qin Ming saw Shao Chen land, he stopped thinking about anything else. When Shao Chen landed, he thrust his sword over. Boom! The terrifying dragon might of the primordial golden dragon burst forth from his body as he thrust his sword forward. The instant the sword thrust out, the tip of the sword gathered all the dragon might in one spot. That spot of golden light nearly tore space apart. Scram! Shao Chen descended while carrying an overwhelming saber might. He did not dodge this sword strike that Qin Ming sent out after storing up power. Then, he ruthlessly chopped down with Heavenly Slayer. When driven by the cycle Great Tao, the flawless saber Tao that surpassed the epic grew endlessly and endlessly. The divine might of Shao Chen's blue dragon sword. He did not show any fear when facing the might of that ancient golden dragon, clashing head-on. Ka-Xie. The saber chopped down on that spot of golden light, forcibly dimming that resplendent sword light. Blood leaked out of Qin Ming's lips as he frantically retreated, completely unable to control himself. Before the horrified expression on Qin Ming's face could fade, Shao Chen pressed forward and brought out his saber Tao to its limits with Heavenly Slayer. The surging Heavenly Tao's killing intent chopped down the golden dragon might, slowly diminishing the vast aura coming from Qin Ming. Even the Shadow Dragon Sovereign said that he was not a match for Shao Chen after leaving the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison. Naturally, Qin Ming's strength went without saying. The moment they clashed, Qin Ming fell into a disadvantageous position. Xiao Chen's overwhelming saber intent enveloped him, forcing him to retreat. The blue dragon materialized by Xiao Chen's dragon might tore the golden dragon image behind Qin Ming, leaving him in a sorry state. How could Qin Ming's grade 7 golden dragon bloodline compare to Xiao Chen's royal blue dragon bloodline? Xiao Chen, you forced me to do this. Divine Dragon Forbidden Technique, Dragon God's Rage. After 100 moves, Qin Ming was already in a sorry state. It looked like he was about to lose all his momentum and lose. Qin Ming roared, and his physical body changed wildly. Dense golden dragon scales appeared all over his body. His body continuously elongated, and his limbs turned into dragon claws. Golden dragon horns grew on his forehead as if he was reverting to his ancestry and becoming a true ancient golden dragon. Roar! 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 The roars coming from Qin Ming's body contained a terrifying bestial nature from the great desolate Aeon, startling everyone present. Their expressions changed drastically. The people who were familiar with Xiao Chen said at the same time, "Be careful, Xiao Chen. He is reverting to his ancestral roots." When one flower blooms, fragrance wafts everywhere. Circulating the cycle Great Tao to its limits, Xiao Chen took a step forward unhurriedly. When he took this step, it was like he broke the barrier of the world. The surrounding scenery and people all froze. Whoosh! 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 As soft as a swallow, Qin Ming moved like a rainbow. He raised his hand and swung his saber. By the time he turned around, Xiao Chen had already sent out 3 saber strikes. Boom! The surrounding scenery started moving again. Before Qin Ming could successfully revert to his ancestral roots, the 3 saber lights pierced through him. Qin Ming's physical body reverted to its original form. As the heavenly Tao's killing intent destroyed him, his life force quickly faded. When the 3 saber lights layered over each other, Qin Ming's life force came to an end. The previously insufferably arrogant Qin Ming died so easily at Xiao Chen's hands. He died in an extremely pathetic manner, surpassing everyone's expectations. However, those with good judgment could tell that it was not that Qin Ming was too weak. Instead, it was that Xiao Chen was too strong. Whoosh! Before the crowd recovered from the shock of Qin Ming's death, the dragon god statue suddenly released a bright light as if it came to life. The dragon god has awakened. Now is the best time to climb the dragon god statue. As long as we climb that dragon claw, we can receive the dragon god's blessing. The dragon god actually awakened. This is a rare auspicious sign. Whoosh! 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 Figures flashed, and the candidates of the various outer palaces moved at the same time, flying towards the dragon god statue. Among them, the ones at the very front were Jiang He and Lu Ruyue. Aside from Xiao Chen and Qin Ming, these 2 were much stronger than the others. The difference was obvious. With Qin Ming dead and Xiao Chen not moving, the 2 of them would definitely be the fastest. Father! I cannot disappoint Father. Jiang He showed a determined gaze. He did not stop at all as he climbed the dragon god statue. Whoosh! However, another figure soon caught up. Now, the 3 of them stood shoulder to shoulder. Each of them contained a different saber intent. It was like 3 saber lights soared into the clouds at the same time. They endured the dragon god statue's immense might and pressure and reached the peak. Naturally, the one who caught up was Xiao Chen. When Jiang He looked back, he could not help thinking about the Heavenly Book scholar's prediction. The 3 saber lights before Jiang He seemed to be the same as the prediction from back then. However, Jiang He knew that since Xiao Chen intended to compete, his chances of becoming the Dragon Emperor were practically 0. Whoosh! However, just at this moment, Xiao Chen suddenly turned around and stopped, blocking Lu Ruyue's path. When Jiang He saw this scene, he could not help feeling stunned and stopped as well. Xiao Chen turned his head and looked over. Bathed in the dragon god's light, he smiled softly and said, "Jiang He, don't stop. prove yourself to your father that you are no longer the child from back then. You are the Jiang He who comprehended the heaven dragon's mysteries and can climb to the peak of the dragon god by yourself. Xiao Chen. Jiang He felt warmth in his heart when he heard that. He felt somewhat surprised that Xiao Chen understood him so well. Jiang He nodded heavily, afraid that Xiao Chen would see his moist eyes. Then, he immediately turned around and did his best to endure the dragon god's might and pressure with greater confidence. You. Lu Riyue looked at Xiao Chen and was about to speak. Then, she saw Xiao Chen turn around, and the boundless power of cycles gathered at his fingertip. Then, he pressed his finger on Lu Riyue's forehead and broke the seal in her soul pool at lightning speed. Whoosh! Lu Riyue's memories flashed. The memories that had been sealed away for decades immediately flooded Lu Riyue's mind like the tide. Chapter 2358. Xiao Chen used the power of cycles to break the memory seal in Lu Riyue's soul pool with one finger. Lu Riyue recalled all the things of the past. Lu Riyue appeared somewhat dazed, like she had a very long dream. As she looked at Xiao Chen in front, her eyes instantly turned moist. Xiao Chen. She remembered. She remembered everything. She remembered the various memories she had with Xiao Chen on Qingyun Peak at the Heavenly Saber Pavilion. She remembered Ruoyan from back then and that youth standing at the highest peak of the Heavenly Saber Pavilion, loudly declaring that he liked her. There were many more. It was no wonder that after so many years, even if her memories were sealed. No matter how much time passed, no matter how the world changed, she could not erase that trace of love imprinted in the depths of her soul. No matter how much time passed, no matter how the world changed, that trace of love could not erase that trace of love imprinted in the depths of her soul. Back then, they had gone through life and death together. Even if they turned to ashes, that trace of love could still give off a resplendent light in the ashes. You have suffered all these years. You searched so hard for me, and I even injured you. Lu Riyue could not stop the tears in her eyes. When she thought of Xiao Chen, even when the Golden Dragon bloodline chased after him, he still took the risk to enter the White Dragon Palace to meet her. However, she still injured Xiao Chen. When Lu Riyue thought of this, she could not help but feel guilty. Xiao Chen's eyes moistened slightly. These were tears of joy. At this instant, he knew that he had made the right choice. It was better to let someone else be the Dragon Emperor. Xiao Chen had a free nature and did not like to be someone else's pawn. He was not willing to accept Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's plan from 10,000 years ago. He just needed to properly repay the Blue Dragon bloodline's kindness. He needed to use his own method to live out his own glory. He did not want to live in a dead person's plan. Even if he had no choice, he had to make his own choices. It's fine. Let's go first. Xiao Chen consoled Lu Riyue. Then, he held her hand and soared into the air, landing where the people of the Heaven Dragon Palace gathered. Boom! The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor fought with Jiang Tian in the sky and lost as well. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor was horrified. He was filled with grief and rage. He had lost this battle too thoroughly. Even his most beloved son, Qin Ming, had died in the hands of Xiao Chen. He had lost everything. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor noticed the playful expressions of the other palace masters. After so many years of oppression, the other dragon palaces had long since disliked the Golden Dragon bloodline. Now, he had been utterly defeated. There would be no place for him in the Divine Dragon Empire. As long as there's life, there's hope. I'll leave first and make a comeback in the future. Kacha! But just as he was about to move, a ray of sword light pierced through his chest. It was the Shadow Dragon Sovereign who pinned him to the ground, restraining him. Your debt has not been settled yet. It won't be that easy for you to leave. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign's tone was cold, and his expression was indifferent. All these years, you have been loyal to the Holy Lord's lackey, suppressing the other divine dragon temples, and framing the Heaven Dragon. All these have to be accounted for. Whoosh! Suddenly, two beams of divine light appeared in Dragon God Plaza. The Dragon God statue's eyes released a dazzling light. Jiang He, who stood on the dragon claw, received the Dragon God's gaze, carrying the entire divine Dragon Empire's luck. His body exuded an overwhelming dragon might. Auspicious signs visible to the naked eye spread out from his body. Mu Zifeng frowned slightly and said somewhat unhappily, Shao Chen, why did you give up on the Dragon Emperor position? If you did not, then you, Shao Chen, would be the one carrying the entire divine Dragon Empire's luck. That's right. However, in that case, the path I take will be the same as what Dragon Emperor Shao Yun laid 50,000 years ago. The karma between me and the blue dragon race will never be resolved. The epoch that I started is actually Dragon Emperor Shao Yun's unfulfilled wish. It looks perfect, but in reality, it is just a pawn. Shao Chen's heart was as clear as a mirror. After learning the truth from the dragon spirit, he had a plan. What's wrong with that? Even if you are a pawn in control of your own fate. You can also bring the blue dragon race supreme glory. My heavenly alliance can continue to be glorious for another epoch. Mu Zifeng remained angry, not understanding Shao Chen's thoughts. Just because you are willing to be a pawn does not mean that I am willing. Furthermore, do you know what the consequences are? Be it the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor back then, the later Dragon Emperor Shao Yun, or the Kunlun Realm's Qing Emperor, they were all unparalleled peak experts. They were all insufferably arrogant, peerless powerhouses of their era. Shao Chen's expression did not change as he continued, however, do you know what the consequences are? It will lead to the destruction of the blue dragon race. Be it in the Great Thousand Realms or the Kunlun Realm, it will lead to the destruction of the blue dragon race. Countless people will have their families destroyed and die a violent death, all because of the blue dragon bloodline. This is because there are no undefeatable experts, no indestructible dynasties, and no immortal beauties in this world. If I become the Dragon Emperor and start the Divine Dragon Epoch, the dragon race will become incredibly strong, ruling the entire Great Thousand Realms. However, when the epoch ends, it will be like the current martial epoch's Holy Lord, miserable and desolate, deserted by everyone, perhaps even worse. Such a Divine Dragon Epoch is not what I want. In the end, it will just be repeating the same mistakes. Mu Zifeng sensed something unusual. Then, he looked at Shao Chen and asked, what are you trying to do? I want to end the epoch. Shao Chen enunciated every word incredibly calmly. The moment Shao Chen said that, the expressions of everyone in the surroundings changed drastically. Ending the epoch? Such lofty aspirations and boldness were something they had never thought of before. It was not that they could not think of it, they did not dare to think of it. I support Big Brother Shao Chen. It is time for the epoch to come to an end. It is an endless cycle of destruction and reincarnation. Too many innocent people die during the birth of every epoch. Ao Jiao stepped forward and expressed her position, decisively supporting Shao Chen. The others remained silent. However, their gazes on Shao Chen clearly changed. Aside from shock, there was also admiration in their complicated expressions. Have you ever thought about the consequences of failure? Mu Zifeng felt shocked in his heart. He felt an indescribable weakness when facing Shao Chen. The other party's boldness, breadth of mind, and strength completely suppressed him. Shao Chen, the small fry is preparing to leave. The blind old man's voice projection rang out in Shao Chen's mind. Then, he looked at Mu Zifeng and said, let's not discuss this for now. I have some things to deal with. Lord Mu, don't worry. No matter what I do, I will definitely protect the Heavenly Alliance in the future. However, I might not obtain the overlord position that you imagine. Without giving Mu Zifeng a chance to speak, Shao Chen soared into the air and landed on a tall building. Then, he shouted softly, you are already here. Are you still going to leave? Shao Chen's voice was not loud, but it rang out clearly in everyone's ears. The sound waves contained Shao Chen's soul energy. As his voice spread out, it locked onto the people Shao Chen was looking for. Still not showing yourselves? Shao Chen threw a palm strike at the sky. Then, 3 bolts of electric light descended from the sky without any warning. Electric light immediately encased Shi, Yuan Zhen, and Wen Renyu. They could not hide from the surrounding crowd. Whoosh! 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 The surrounding dragon race disciples quickly moved, pulling away from the 3. In the blink of an eye, the surroundings of Dragon God Plaza emptied out, leaving only the 3. When she saw that the Shadow Dragon Sovereign already controlled the situation in Ancestor Dragon City, the Divine Dragon Empire, which should have been a helper, ended up helping Shao Chen instead. Furthermore, the Heavenly Alliance's faux god experts blocked the Bushin Palace's faux god experts. Shao Chen already considered retreating. Qin Ming's death and the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor's defeat caused the earlier trap to lose an important link. This caused the situation to flip. Shao Chen's original plan of catching a turtle in a jar and suppressing Shao Chen with its momentum reversed. Fortunately, for some reason, Shao Chen actually gave the Dragon Emperor position to Jiang He. This made Shi, Yuan Zhen, and Wen Renyu, who originally despaired, rejoice. After some discussion, they unanimously decided to leave immediately. After losing the Dragon Emperor position, Shao Chen's luck would inevitably suffer. In the future, they would definitely find a better opportunity to kill Shao Chen, not giving him a chance to turn things around. However, the crowd had not expected that Shao Chen, who had just thought of retreating, would pull it out before everyone's eyes. She looked at Shao Chen and said coldly, "Shao Chen, what are you trying to do? Do you think that you can kill us after finding us?" Shao Chen knew that the 3 of them definitely had faux gods protecting them in the dark. If they wanted to leave, there was no way for them to stay. Wen Renyu and Yuan Zhen did not say anything either. They just looked at Shao Chen with hostile expressions. "I'm not trying to kill you. I'm giving you a chance." "What chance?" "I'm giving you a chance to kill me. You cast aside your prejudices and schemed to work together to kill me. Now that I am here, why are you leaving?" Yuan Zhen looked around. Then, he looked at the blind old man standing beside the Heaven Dragon. Then, he looked at the older generation experts in Ancestor Dragon City. Yuan Zhen said sullenly, "You want to fight the 3 of us alone? I guarantee that the older generation experts of Ancestor Dragon City, the Heaven Dragon, the Shadow Dragon Sovereign, and the Heavenly Alliance's experts will not help you." Shao Chen smiled faintly and said, "That's right. I believe this is your plan from the start, right? You want the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor to sit back and do nothing, allowing the 3 of you to work together to stop me from arriving at the Dragon God Plaza and then wait for an opportunity to kill me? I'll give you a chance to work together to kill me now. I guarantee that no one will help you." Shi's thoughts raced. Shao Chen wants to settle this once and for all, defeating the epic masters of the 3 super factions. However, where does Shao Chen get his confidence to face the 3 of them alone? If Shao Chen became the Dragon Emperor and inherited the entire Divine Dragon Empire's luck, he might be able to fight against the 3 of them alone. Could there be a trap? However, if the 3 of them did not even dare to accept such a challenge, it would deal a severe blow to their confidence. In the future, when they faced Shao Chen, they would be at a disadvantage before the fight even started. Chapter 2359. Just as Shi, Wen Renyu, and Yuan Zhen considered retreating, Shao Chen suddenly stepped forward. Shao Chen gave the 3 a chance to work together and fight him. Before coming, the 3 had already made arrangements to facilitate this opportunity with the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor. Unexpectedly, the situation of the fight to become the Dragon Emperor changed in an instant. The Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, who was supposed to support them, fell, and the Shadow Dragon Sovereign took over the Divine Dragon Empire, forcing the 3 to leave. However, Shao Chen suddenly returned this opportunity to them. "Shao Chen, swear. Swear that none of the Dragon Race older generation experts here, including the Shadow Dragon Sovereign and the Heaven Dragon, will make a move. The 3 of us will fight you." A crafty look flashed in Shi's eyes as he looked at Shao Chen. Originally, Shao Chen was the one giving them a chance. However, she made it sound like Xiao Chen was begging them. Xiao Chen said softly, I swear on Xiao Chen's name that this fight will be between the four of us. If I break this oath, I, Xiao Chen, will die a horrible death, falling to my heart demon forever. Good. She laughed loudly after hearing that. Then, he said, Xiao Chen, do you really think that you can kill the three of us in one go? I'll give you that chance now. At the same time, she looked at Wenren Yu and Yuan Zhen. What do the two of you think? I have no objections. If we still lose even when fighting 3 against 1, there is no need to fight with him for the Epic Sun title. Wenren Yu looked rather carefree. If they lost even when fighting 3 against 1, they would not have the face to continue fighting. As I have heard, I swear not to become a Buddha until hell is empty. Yuan Zhen chanted scriptures endlessly. He pressed his palms together, and Buddhist light continuously erupted from his body. She and Wenren Yu exchanged looks. They knew that Yuan Zhen was summoning the Buddhist nation, waiting for the Buddhist nation to descend. Yuan Zhen's combat prowess would soar wildly, reaching the level of a faux god or even surpassing that of a faux god. What the two needed to do now was delay Xiao Chen and buy time for Yuan Zhen. She waved his hand, and the scarlet dragon image on the sage cloak moved. After a while, a scarlet dragon roared out. A bloody flame burned in his demonic eye of fear, burning out of his eye sockets and lingering under his brows. Boom! A horrifying demonic might instantly swept through the entire ancestor dragon city. Black demonic clouds roared in the sky like a sea. Forbidden art, devour all life. She shouted, and a horrifying devouring force burst forth from his left eye. It gathered at one point and surged towards Xiao Chen. In an instant, wherever his gaze passed, space and time seemed to distort under the suction of the devouring power. The distorted space wriggled like a snake. How fast was the speed of sight? With just a glance, one would be hit. Xiao Chen's body was immediately entangled by this devouring power. This was the devouring power that came from the demon eye. Like a spider web, she did not care about exhausting himself as he wrapped around Xiao Chen layer by layer. Within a breath's time, thousands of layers of devouring power entangled Xiao Chen, dragging him towards Xi's demonic eye. Even a faux god would find it hard to break free if caught by the devouring demonic eye. Xi's demonic eye had already been incredibly horrifying long ago. Now that his strength had improved significantly, this demonic eye was even more terrifying. Even Xiao Chen found it hard to struggle free. Die! Wenren Yu revealed a sinister smile as a holy mirror appeared in his hand. This was the supreme treasure of the profound heaven Holy Land, the profound heaven mirror. This supreme treasure had been passed down for countless epochs. During the martial epoch, it once had the legendary feat of killing a faux god. The instant the mirror enveloped Xiao Chen, he felt a dangerous aura encircling him. His heart skipped a beat. No way. I absolutely cannot let it hit me. If I drive this profound heaven mirror at full power, the consequences will be dire. Indeed, this group of people came prepared. They had great teamwork and made thorough preparations. No wonder they all revealed crafty smiles after I swore. However, now that she drove the devouring demonic eye at full power, Xiao Chen estimated that even a faux god would find it hard to struggle free quickly. If Xiao Chen could not break this devouring power quickly, the profound heaven mirror would definitely strike him. The situation immediately turned extremely dangerous. No one had expected this. The moment they started fighting, Xiao Chen fell into such a desperate situation, catching everyone off guard. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Chen quickly made a decision. He stopped resisting and allowed Xi's devouring demonic eye to pull him over. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, Xi's demonic eye swallowed up Xiao Chen, and the profound light from the mirror missed. How can it be like this? Wenren Yu paled, his eyes bloodshot as he panted continuously. That earlier strike nearly drained all his soul energy and divine energy, bringing out the might of the superior grade soul treasure in his hand to its limits. Even a peak faux god would be severely injured or even killed in one hit. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen gave up resisting and allowed Shi to swallow him up, perfectly dodging the attack. Although Wenren felt dissatisfied, she showed joy on his face. He laughed maniacally, ha ha ha. Xiaochen, you are seeking death. My demonic eye is an inheritance of the ancient god demon. Even if a foe god enters, only death awaits them. Watch as I use the power of the god demon, bang. Before Wenren could finish speaking, a saber light flashed, and his head instantly exploded. Amid the scarlet light, Xiaochen reappeared with Heavenly Slayer in hand. Then, Xiaochen tore off the blood dragon cloak from Wenrenyu's body, not continuing to kill him. Then, he looked at Yuan Zhen, who was summoning the Buddhist nation. The vague form of the Buddhist nation appeared. Yuan Zhen revealed a confident expression, showing no fear. Xiaochen recalled his experience in the Yanwu dynasty. He knew that the Buddhist nation was like the god demon's nation, hard to break. Right now, the vague form of the Buddhist nation appeared. Regular killing moves would find it hard to break it. Go over. As the power of cycles circulated, Xiaochen shouted and took a ferocious step forward. With this step, it felt like the entire Great Thousand Realms blocked him, preventing him from advancing at all. He faced unprecedented resistance. Ka Xie. However, Yuan Zhen managed to take this step in the end. With one step, he traveled to the future. As I have heard, hell is not empty. In the past, Yuan Zhen had just pressed his palms together and chanted 2 lines of scripture. The Buddhist nation had not even appeared. Horror flashed in Yuan Zhen's eyes when he faced Xiaochen, who suddenly appeared out of nowhere, catching him off guard. Pooh! Xiaochen mercilessly stabbed the flawless saber intent, which surpassed fortuitous encounters, into Yuan Zhen's forehead. Now! Time and space returned to the present. The vague form of the Buddhist nation shattered, and a figure appeared before Yuan Zhen. The slender saber blade stabbed into Yuan Zhen's forehead. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's remnant soul in Yuan Zhen's soul pool let out a sharp, miserable shriek. Yuan Zhen. This startled Wenrenyu. He turned around and raised the profound heaven mirror, preparing to overdraw on his life force to strike Xiaochen. The future. Xiaochen shouted. Then, light and shadow flashed, appearing in the future behind Wenrenyu. Then, he chopped Wenrenyu in half with his peak saber strike. Past, present, future, flowers bloom with a thought. The dragon race experts below were flabbergasted as they watched, sighing in amazement. The dragon race experts saw 3 blue lotus flowers bloom, and a figure stood on them. The instant the flowers bloomed, Shi's head exploded, the saber pierced Yuan Zhen's forehead, and Wenrenyu was chopped in half. The instant the flowers bloomed, they illuminated 3 lives. 3 figures layered over each other. Wenrenyu, Shi, and Yuan Zhen were instantly defeated. Xiaochen's originally dangerous situation instantly reversed. Blood continuously squirmed around Shi's neck as he lay on the ground. Soon, a new head grew out. Shi's eyes looked like those of a normal person. However, he appeared fatigued and incredibly weak, finding even moving incredibly difficult. Xiaochen did not destroy Shi's divine seal. On account of Shi being Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's pawn, he spared Shi's life. However, with Shi's demonic eye destroyed, his strength plummeted. He lost his sharpness and could no longer compete with Xiaochen. As for Wenrenyu, he was not as fortunate. Xiaochen's peak saber strike destroyed both his physical body and divine seal. The 3 figures layered over each other. Xiaochen held Heavenly Slayer as he stood in front of Yuan Zhen. Xiaochen maintained the posture of half the saber-piercing Yuan Zhen's forehead. As for Yuan Zhen, Xiaochen only wanted to cut off the karma between him and the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva. He did not kill Yuan Zhen until the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's remnant soul in Yuan Zhen's soul pool was destroyed. As blood spurted out, Xiaochen pulled out his saber and sheathed Heavenly Slayer. Yuan Zhen's eyes slowly regained clarity. Then, he wobbled like a broken kite and fell to the ground. In the distant Yenwu dynasty, the Kitagarbha Bodhisattva's Buddha statues in the thousands of temples Yuan Jin built crumbled. The auspicious signs in the Buddhist nation on the ground scattered. The ordinary people living there appeared dazed as if they just woke up from a dream. One thought to live, one thought to die. Shaoqin chose to take the risk of fighting the three. If he had not dodged the profound heaven mirror's strike, he would have been the one to die. If he had dodged, the other party would have been the one to die. This extremely dangerous gamble also brought a huge harvest, dealing with the three hidden dangers once and for all. From then on, no other faction's epic masters could compete with Shaoqin. Dressed in white, Shaoqin looked boundlessly elegant, making all the cultivators in Ancestor Dragon City admire him. Even the many foe gods of the Heavenly Alliance and the Bushin Palace felt somewhat horrified, ashamed of their inferiority. They had to admit that Shaoqin was now the strongest person in the world. Now that he grasped the cycle Great Tao, no one could defeat him head-on. I have 2 supreme treasures to give to 2 seniors. I will leave the Divine Dragon Empire to you. In the future, please take care of my Kunlun Realm's Blue Dragon bloodline. Shaoqin arrived before the Shadow Dragon Sovereign and the Heaven Dragon Jiang Tian. Then, he handed the Emperor Dragon's sword that he obtained from Qin Ming to Jiang Tian. Then, he solemnly handed the royal genealogical record that he obtained from the Blue Dragon's treasure trove to the Shadow Dragon Sovereign. The blind old man was loyal to Shaoqin in the first place. Now that he obtained the royal genealogical record, he would definitely take care of the Blue Dragon bloodline. Given that, the Blue Dragon would definitely have a foothold in the Divine Dragon Empire in the future. Seniors of Ancestor Dragon City, does anyone have any objections to Jiang He becoming the new Dragon Emperor of my Divine Dragon Empire as the Heaven Dragon's descendant? Given Jiang He's qualifications, many people would be unconvinced if he wanted to suppress these dragon race older generation experts. This was especially so for the Silver Dragon bloodlines and the Golden Dragon bloodlines. However, after seeing Shaoqin's strength, practically no one dared to look him in the eye when he spoke. As far as the eye could see, no one dared to say anything. Congratulations on the birth of the Dragon Emperor, Jiang He. Shaoqin shouted. Then, he suddenly took out the Emperor Dragon Throne, the supreme treasure of the dragon race that had been passed down for countless epochs. Immediately, a vast and pure Emperor Dragon's might spread out, causing the many dragon race disciples to tremble. Under the pressure of this Emperor Dragon's dragon might, the many dragon race disciples fell to their knees. Jiang He gave Shaoqin a deep look as he stood on the dragon god statue. After some hesitation, he sat on the throne. At this moment, as everyone cheered for the birth of a new dragon emperor, in an inconspicuous pavilion in Ancestor Dragon City, Yan Sangming revealed a cold smile as he watched Jiang He sit on the Emperor Dragon throne with a cold expression. A crystal ball in Yan Sangming's left palm projected the earlier scene into the distance. In the distant soaring dragon great realm, where the Black Dragon King was sealed, Zhen Yuan looked through the crystal ball and saw the scene that Yan Sangming sent over. To think that his cycle Great Tao is so strong. However, he already revealed his trump card. He can forget about reversing time and space before me. Crack. Zhen Yuan's eyes suddenly turned pitch black as he crushed the crystal ball. Then, he muttered to himself, "It is time for the martial epoch to end." Blood stained the surroundings of the sealed land. 10 odd foe god corpses lay cold on the ground. These were the foe gods who felt dissatisfied and wanted to stop the Black Dragon King from returning to reality and ending the martial epoch. However, all their efforts were futile. They all died at Zhen Yuan's hands. These foe gods did not know that the Black Dragon King would not end the martial epoch. Instead, the martial epoch's luck was about to run out, giving the Black Dragon King the opportunity to destroy it. Right now, all the luck of the martial epoch was in the Black Dragon King's seal. When the Black Dragon King broke the seal, he would run out of luck, and the end would arrive. Whoosh! The Black Dragon King's veritable essence energy physical body turned into a clump of black shadow, a clump of pure demonic thought. Then, it instantly entered the seal amid a flash of black light. In the next moment, Cracks appeared in the ground, and the entire soaring dragon great realm trembled endlessly. A pitch-black demonic claw broke out of the ground. The claw ferociously clenched, seeming to crush something. In the Divine Dragon Empire's ancestor Dragon City in the central Great Realm, Jiang He had just sat down on the Emperor Dragon throne. The god-killing sword in the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's hand buzzed endlessly as it gave off a dense black light, trying to struggle free of the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's hand. Whoosh! The Shadow Dragon Sovereign's expression changed dramatically. The god-killing sword struggled free of the Shadow Dragon Sovereign's hand with irresistible force. Then, it turned into a beam of black light and shot into the sky. He is coming out. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign's body trembled slightly, appearing somewhat fearful. As Xiaochen watched the distant beam of black light, he showed a complicated expression. After a long time, he sighed, the martial epoch is over. Chapter 2360. Suddenly, the god-killing sword struggled free of the blind old man's hand and turned into a beam of light, flying far away. Xiaochen and the blind old man felt startled. They knew that the Black Dragon King was coming out. Back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor used the martial epoch's luck to seal the Black Dragon King. If the Black Dragon King broke the seal, it would mean that the martial epoch's luck had reached its end. When the Black Dragon King completely came out, the martial epoch would begin to end. Although the foe gods present did not recognize the god-killing sword, they were bound to the martial epoch. They already sensed that something was wrong. Horror appeared in their hearts, acutely sensing that the world was about to change. Needless to say, the foe gods of the Heavenly Alliance and the Bushin Palace all knew what was going to happen. This day would come sooner or later. Many foe gods could not sleep at night, living in fear. They feared that the apocalypse would arrive, forcing them to fall. However, when this day truly arrived, most of them discovered that they were not as afraid as they imagined. Compared to the fear and horror of day and night, this was a form of release. Whoosh! Suddenly, a resplendent light burst forth in the sky northeast of the Divine Dragon Empire. In the next moment, scarlet light rained down like a meteor shower. Mu Zifeng looked up, and his expression immediately changed drastically. Then, he looked at Sui Renji and Hua Tianyang, who were beside him. Sui Renji and Hua Tianyang did not say anything, only silently nodding. Zifeng, I'll leave the Heavenly Alliance to you in the future, Hua Tianyang said softly as he looked at Mu Zifeng with a smile. Hua Tianyang said softly as he looked at Mu Zifeng with a smile on his face. Mu Zifeng's expression changed dramatically as he grabbed Hua Tianyang. However, right after Mu Zifeng grabbed Hua Tianyang's hand, Hua Tianyang's physical body shattered, turning into ashes. Hua Tianyang's body shattered, turning into ashes. A beam of divine light soared into the sky. The resplendent light illuminated all of Ancestor Dragon City, so dazzling that no one could open their eyes. In the next moment, the light vanished, turning into a scarlet meteor that bloomed like fireworks. This sudden scene shocked the surrounding cultivators in Dragon God Plaza. How could a foe god die just like that? No. Although Mu Zifeng knew that this day would come sooner or later, he still could not accept seeing Hua Tianyang fall before him. Sui Renji sighed softly, the old alliance chief was injured in the first place. He definitely wouldn't be able to last long in this great change. But I won't be able to hold on for long. The foe god flame in Sui Renji's soul pool was like a fallen leaf drifting in the wind and rain. Swaying, the light dimmed bit by bit. Mu Zifeng turned his head to look. At this moment, Sui Renji's face showed unprecedented signs of aging. Where are you going? Mu Zifeng asked softly when he noticed Sui Renji's intention to leave. Let's go back to the sect in the netherworld. Even if we're going to die, we should die where we want to die. I'll leave my family in the Heavenly Alliance to you. After fighting with you for half my life, I really did not expect such an outcome. Sui Renji laughed at himself, turned around, waved his hand, and left alone. Be it the Heavenly Alliances or the Bushin Palace's foe gods, they all sensed the great changes in the world. he noticed that his foe god Flame could no longer absorb divine energy from the world. Some of the world's laws had already been broken, unable to support the burning of the divine flame. Some people bawled, tears flowing down their cheeks endlessly. Some people felt dissatisfied, frantically consuming powerful divine herbs and searching for a place where the divine flame could continue burning. However, most of the heavenly alliances and Bushin palaces' foe gods remained calm like Swearenji. Before they died, they went to an old haunt in their hearts and waited for the divine flame to extinguish. In the past, these foe gods could summon the wind and rain, pluck the stars and grab the moon. They could crush countless sovereign emperors with a wave of their hands. At this moment, these foe gods showed unprecedented humbleness, inspiring sorrow in others. Xiao Chen looked at these departing foe gods, at their faces of despair, calm, or despair. Suddenly, Xiao Chen recalled that many years ago, when the Immortal epoch was destroyed, those helpless immortals were probably like this as well. After he comes out, he will definitely come to you first. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign said as he looked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen nodded and said, I know. I'll leave my friends in Senior's care for now. Don't worry. I will do my best to protect them. Xiao Chen sighed in his heart. Then, he went over and said goodbye to Lu Ryue and Ao Jiao. Then, he instructed the two to remain in the Divine Dragon Empire and not to leave Ancestor Dragon City. Xiao Chen, I do not blame you for not becoming the Dragon Emperor. However, you have to destroy the Black Dragon King. Mu Zifeng enunciated every word as he looked at Xiao Chen, a heavy murderous intent gathering on his face. Xiao Chen looked at Mu Zifeng. Then, he looked at the worried Lu Ryue and Ao Jiao. Then, he looked at Jiang He. These were all familiar faces. If Xiao Chen could not defeat the Black Dragon King, these old friends of his, these beautiful memories of his life, would all be destroyed by the Black Dragon King, utterly destroyed. They would all be destroyed by the Black Dragon King, completely and utterly destroyed. After saying that, Xiao Chen turned and left. After saying that, Xiao Chen turned and left. After he walked out of the city gates, he looked back. Scarlet meteors already filled the entire sky of the Divine Dragon Empire. That was the blood of foe gods, turning into countless tiny specks of dust. Then, the world's most beautiful flowers bloomed in the dust, creating a tragic scene in this doomsday. You are going to the desolate sea, right? The clear-eyed she jumped down from the city walls. Then, he covered his mouth with his right hand and coughed heavily. The desolate sea had two powerful formations. The Heavenly Tao Killing Formation and the Great Desolate Blood Dragon Formation materialized with the Wings of Time as the formation core. Back then, Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun had poured his life's effort into preparing these formations for the Black Dragon King. The formations could only be activated by combining the Heavenly Slayer Saber and the Blood Dragon Cloak. Although you obtain the Blood Dragon Cloak and the Heavenly Slayer Saber, you can only activate the Heavenly Tao Killing Formation. If you want to activate the Great Desolate Blood Dragon Formation, you have to kill me. As she looked at Xiao Chen, his stern face did not reveal much. However, Xi's right hand, which was clenched into a fist, trembled endlessly, revealing the struggle in his heart. She had hesitated for a long time before appearing before Xiao Chen and saying this. She did not want to die. Everyone feared death, and she was no exception. However, she was now seeking death from Xiao Chen. At this moment, the insufferably arrogant and terrifying Lord Shi, who once inspired fear in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, appeared incredibly weak. Xiao Chen replied softly, I know. The old dragon horse once said that Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's plan would allow only one of them to survive. According to Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's plan, Xiao Chen would become the Dragon Emperor, and she would become the Demon Monarch. Then, the two would fight, and the victor would receive all his inheritance. From that moment on, Xiao Chen had new thoughts about becoming the Dragon Emperor. Did Xiao Chen want to become the Dragon Emperor himself, or did a dead person from tens of thousands of years ago want him to become the Dragon Emperor? The answer was the latter. Xiao Chen had no desire for power or status, he was naturally free. For a long time, Xiaochen had felt a sense of duty, passively wanting to become the Dragon Emperor. This was what it meant by having no choice. Shock filled Qi's face. He asked somewhat incoherently, "Then, why did you leave me alive? Did you kill my friends? Do we have an old grudge? Did you cross my bottom line? If not, why would I kill you? If not, why would I kill you?" It was just a simple sentence, but it stirred up huge waves in Qi's heart. His entire worldview was toppled. However, can you kill the Black Dragon King with just the Heavenly Tao killing formation? Anxiety filled Qi's eyes, urgently wanting to know Xiaochen's answer. If I don't try, who knows? I can't possibly kill someone I don't want to kill just because of this. My heart will not forgive me. Outside Ancestor Dragon City, blood rain fell from the dark sky on the desolate land. As the blood rain fell like meteors, Xiaochen revealed a faint smile. He said softly, "You escaped Dragon Emperor Xiao Yun's karma and can live for yourself. Why seek death? Bless me. I will definitely kill the Black Dragon King. I believe in my own choice." With this smile, she suddenly understood why Xiaochen could fight 1 against 3 and why he was inferior to him. This was because from the very start, Xiaochen had a pure heart. Even though he ruled the world now, dominating the past and present, his original heart remained, never changing. Cloudwater Marsh, a spring every 10 steps and a river every 50 kilometers. The hazy mist lingered for tens of thousands of years. After putting on the blood-clad sage robes, Xiaochen passed through the mist and arrived at the desolate sea. Then, he sat on a rock and hugged Heavenly Slayer, resting with his eyes closed. After some time, the mournful cries in the world grew louder. Then, Xiaochen opened his eyes. A scarlet light illuminated the sky of the entire central Great Realm. Thousands of meteors turned into a boundless blood rain. Xiaochen stretched out his hand and let a drop of blood rain land on his palm. Xiaochen squinted and sent in his soul energy. Scenes unfolded before his eyes. These were the remnant memories of a certain faux god, the imprint that a legend once left in the world. However, they now turned into a sorrowful blood rain, sinking into the soil. Boom! A beam of black light fell together with the blood rain. When it landed, the black light coalesced into a human figure. This person was tall and wore heavy black dragon armor. His fingertips were covered in sharp metal armor. This person looked like the claws of a wild beast, holding a pitch-black sword that gave off a faint dark light. Veritable essence energy could be vaguely seen on the face under the helmet. Without a doubt, this person was the Black Dragon King. "You've been waiting for me for a long time, right?" The Black Dragon King looked at Xiaochen and smiled. However, his smile was extremely horrifying, making one tremble in fear. "I have been wanting to kill you for a long time." The instant the flower bloomed, it illuminated 3 lifetimes. Xiaochen drew Heavenly Slayer and executed the 3-life flower at lightning speed, wanting to cross space and time to kill the Black Dragon King. However, when Xiaochen was about to take that step, he was somewhat surprised to discover that he could not break the space-time barrier in front of the Black Dragon King. Unable to advance or retreat, the god-killing sword in the Black Dragon King's hand stabbed at Xiaochen's chest, carrying a heavy state of ruin. Dang! The saber scabbard held horizontally in front of Xiaochen's chest. This sword strike knocked him back. The state of ruin lingered in his ears, and a deep dragon roar echoed endlessly. "I've already seen your trump card in the Dragon God Plaza. As long as I keep my guard up, it will not be that easy for you to break the space-time barrier before me." The Black Dragon King revealed a disdainful smile as he said softly, "Actually, I can attack you the instant you break the space-time barrier. I can let the space-time tear you apart. However, that would be pointless. There is no point in boasting. Flawless Saber Dao, endless cycle." Xiaochen gave up on instantly killing the other party. Then, he shouted coldly and pressed forward while holding Heavenly Slayer. He used the cycle Great Dao to materialize his own flawless saber intent. Then, he connected it with the Heavenly Tao's killing intent contained in Heavenly Slayer and unleashed a vast and boundless saber move. Excitement flickered in the Black Dragon King's eyes as he said softly, "Cycle Great Tao. I have yet to taste what it feels like to destroy the Cycle Great Tao." Ha 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 ha. The Black Dragon King laughed maniacally as he drew his sword. The two started a startling battle in the desolate sea. Xiao Chen's supreme saber Tao, which surpassed the epoch, became incredibly sharp with the support of the power of cycle. Saber lights filled the sky. As they flickered, the sky alternated between black and white. Every saber strike contained the might to easily shatter stars. The continuous saber moves connected with the power of cycle. The saber lights turned into an ancient blue dragon that circled the world and roared ferociously under the guidance of the saber lights. The Black Dragon King fought strength with strength. Be it the Cycle Great Tao's power of life or power of death, they all shattered. When the will of destruction touched him, it was completely destroyed. The will of destruction lingered in this world. It was like the will of heaven, unquestionable. It was like fighting against the Heavenly Tao. Xiao Chen brought out everything he had, bringing out his saber Tao to an unprecedented level. The dragon armor on the Black Dragon King's body was already riddled with holes from Xiao Chen's attacks. However, the originally fatal killing move penetrated the dragon armor and struck the Black Dragon King's body. This person seemed to be blessed by heaven, like the incarnation of the Heavenly Tao, possessing boundless life force. I am the incarnation of destruction, born from a calamity. I represent the Heavenly Tao. The Heavenly Tao's killing intent contained in the saber in your hand cannot injure me. Back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor could not kill me, what more you? The Black Dragon King mocked softly as he looked at the pale, blood-stained Xiao Chen, who appeared to be in a sorry state. The other party's trump card was the Cycle Great Tao, tearing space and time. Aside from this killing move, which was somewhat strange and needed to be wary of, the Black Dragon King did not fear any of Xiao Chen's killing moves. Even with the Cycle Great Tao's flawless saber intent supporting it, the Black Dragon King did not fear it. Xiao Chen revealed a smile on his pale face. He said softly, "Have you never thought that there was no reason for me to force you here despite being covered in wounds?" The Black Dragon King's expression changed slightly. When he looked up, he saw a blood moon hanging in the sky. Moonlight poured out, encasing the Black Dragon King. Xiao Chen tightly grasped Heavenly Slayer and pointed it at the sky, activating the Heavenly Tao killing formation. Immediately, the Heavenly Tao's killing intent that had existed since the birth of the martial epoch poured endlessly into the saber. The Heavenly Tao's killing intent came from all over the desolate sea and gathered on Heavenly Slayer. A dense scarlet light spread out. The terrifying killing intent made boundless blood-like snowflakes fall from the sky. Wings of Time, Heavenly Tao killing formation. When the Black Dragon King saw the Heavenly Tao's killing intent in Heavenly Slayer continuously strengthen, some fear finally appeared in his heart. No killing move in the world could truly kill the Black Dragon King. The Black Dragon King was the incarnation of the Heavenly Tao. Only heaven could subdue him. When the Heavenly Tao's killing intent reached a certain level, it could truly kill the Black Dragon King. You want to kill me with just this formation? You are too naive. The Black Dragon King withdrew his smile and slowly turned grave. The source of destruction in his body surged wildly. What if I join in? However, just at this moment, the Black Dragon King recalled a discordant voice. He turned his head in the direction of the voice. Whoosh! The Black Dragon King's eyes immediately got pierced. He saw a blazing sun, an extraordinarily huge sun, hovering in the air. The blazing primal chaos sun blazed fiercely in the sky above a figure. That figure's appearance could not be clearly seen under the piercing light. Only the smile on that figure's face could be seen. It was like the morning sun, resplendent with the sun and colorful clouds filling the sky. Chapter 2361. Chu Chaoyun. This startled Xiao Chen. Unexpectedly, when he needed help the most, Chu Chaoyun would step forward at this moment. What shocked Xiao Chen even more was the smile on Chu Chaoyun's face. Back in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, Chu Chaoyun had been extremely gloomy and uneasy. He had not smiled like this in a long time already. Don't just stand there. Kill this black loach first. Chu Chaoyun shouted at the dazed Xiao Chen as the blazing sun hung high in the sky. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and replied, "Got it." The sun and moon shone together in the boundless desolate sea. A blood moon materialized by the wings of time and a blazing sun materialized by the universe origin. True flame's origin flame materialized, a miraculous scene that the desolate sea had never seen before. The two cooperated with each other. Chu Chaoyun used the universe origin true flame's origin flame to materialize thousands of killing moves, continuously harassing the Black Dragon King. The blazing sun above was the heavenly flame's origin flame that the Holy Lord had collected since the start of the martial epoch. Xiao Chen had accumulated it for an entire epoch for this day. Even though the Black Dragon King had tough skin and startling defense, it still burned the Black Dragon King's origin flame. The Black Dragon King roared endlessly. The Black Dragon King's origin flame, which merged with the heavenly Tao, materialized boundless attacks that continuously charged at Chu Chaoyun. "Little bastard, I'll kill you." However, Chu Chaoyun possessed the primal chaos great Tao. As his figure flickered, space and time rippled. Even the Black Dragon King could not pinpoint Xiao Chen's position. The Black Dragon King's horrifying attacks looked incredibly horrifying. Even the shock waves could severely injure Chu Chaoyun. However, the Black Dragon King could not injure Chu Chaoyun. Instead, he ended up playing with him. Rage filled the Black Dragon King's heart, causing openings to appear. Xiao Chen seized the opportunity. Xiao Chen used Heavenly Slayer to drive the Heavenly Tao killing formation. The vast ocean-like Heavenly Tao killing intent materialized all sorts of killing moves. Xiao Chen's flawless Saber Tao, which surpassed the epoch, could easily suppress the Black Dragon King in the first place. However, the other party had the Heavenly Tao's protection. It was born in response to tribulation to begin with, the embodiment of the Heavenly Tao that destroyed an era. Its vitality was practically boundless, and it was impossible to kill it at all. But now, with this Heavenly Tao killing intent that was as dense as the sea, he could borrow the power of the Heavenly Tao to launch an attack, and the situation was completely different. Although the universe origin true flame burned the Black Dragon King in unbearable pain, even burning his soul, the Black Dragon King was in great pain. However, it was not fatal. On the other hand, Xiao Chen's attack, which was infused with the Heaven's Path's killing intent, was a completely different story. It could directly touch his origin of destruction. The clouds rolled in and out, the sun rose and the moon set. The cold blood moon and the blazing sun rose and fell in the desolate sea's sky, perfectly displaying the sun and the moon shining together. This was an unprecedented mysterious phenomenon. The originally hopeless situation of the battle was reversed in an instant. Blood spurted out. Saber lights pierced through the Black Dragon King's body, continuously draining his life force. The Black Dragon King's expression turned sullen. He, who had been roaring furiously, fell silent. Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun exchanged glances. They immediately understood that the Black Dragon King was preparing to make a desperate counterattack. Since they already knew, they naturally would not give him a chance. Everlasting Primal Chaos, Ancient One Sword. Mahamaya abstinence violation, kill without mercy. Chu Chaoyun roared, and the Primal Chaos Great Tao spread out from his body. His physical body immediately became like a black hole. Primal Chaos spread out like the beginning of the primordial chaos, when the world had yet to be divided, and the sun and moon did not exist. Whoosh! Suddenly, a sword light shot out from that primal chaos, turning into an azure beam of light. This sword split the world, projected the sun and moon, immortal for all time. Xiao Chen drove the Heavenly Tao killing formation and gathered the boundless Heavenly Tao's killing intent in his body. The saber hum in Xiao Chen's body did not stop, and a terrifying crack tore open in the sky. There seemed to be an eye slowly opening in the crack. If heaven had feelings, it would grow old. Since ancient times, the heavenly Tao was the most emotionless. If heaven wanted someone to die, they had no choice but to die. Kill, without mercy. The two worked together seamlessly. Observing the Black Dragon King's expression, they took the initiative and executed their killing moves at the same time. Boom! A sword light and a saber light pierced through the Black Dragon King at the same time. A sorrowful dragon roar came from the Black Dragon King's body, reverberating in the surroundings. Pu-ci. The Black Dragon King's facial features twisted as he vomited a mouthful of black blood. His life force drained continuously. Bang! The saber light and the sword light rampaged around the Black Dragon King's body without any fear. Then, they merged and exploded. In that instant, the insufferably arrogant Black Dragon King's physical body exploded. The sun and moon shone together in the desolate sea. Xiao Qian and Chu Chaoyun showed fatigued expressions as they slowly approached. Is he dead? Xiao Qian asked doubtfully. He did not believe that the Black Dragon King died just like that. Chu Chaoyun's eyes were like lightning, piercing through the starry heavens. Then, he saw a flash of black light vanish from his vision. This blazing sun should be the trump card that the Holy Lord left behind, Xiao Qian said. Xiao Qian looked at the sky, at the blazing sun that shone as brightly as the moon. Then, he looked at Chu Chaoyun. Xiao Qian had thought countless times that the blood moon was the trump card that Xiao Yun materialized with the wings of time. In that case, whose trump card was the blazing sun in the desolate sea? After thinking about it, there was only one answer. Chu Chaoyun did not deny it. He smiled faintly and said, "You are right. After I completely sever the karma, you can tell me." Boom! Right after Xiao Qian spoke, a dragon roar suddenly rang out. The expressions of Xiao Qian and Chu Chaoyun changed slightly. When the two looked up, they saw an unknown object continuously falling. The two slowly approached the desolate sea from the starry heavens. When they saw it clearly, their expressions changed drastically. This was actually a black dragon head. It was just a head, but it encased the entire desolate sea. It's the Black Dragon King's main body. He executed a forbidden art. We cannot let him come down. Otherwise, the entire central great realm will suffer a calamity. Chu Chaoyun said hastily, his expression turning pale with fright. The two roared ferociously and threw a palm strike at the same time. The sun and moon rose into the sky. The blood moon and sun soared into the sky at the same time and smashed into the Black Dragon King's head. Rumble. As the shock waves spread out, the entire central great realm, from the 8 great empires to the Xuewu dynasty, the Yanwu dynasty, the Xinwu dynasty, and the Tianwu dynasty, shook intensely. The world spun around like the end of the world had arrived. Let's go. Xiao Qian and Chu Chaoyun soared into the air, instantly arriving in the boundless starry heavens. When the two clearly saw the Black Dragon King's main body, they both inhaled sharply. The Black Dragon King's colossal body stretched across the starry heavens. The sun, moon, and stars were as insignificant as the glass balls in a child's hand before the Black Dragon King. We absolutely cannot let him appear in the central great realm. The two immediately made up their minds. Given the Black Dragon King's horrifyingly colossal body, it would be an irreversible disaster if he appeared in the central great realm. Chu Chaoyun, do you trust me? Xiao Qian asked as he looked at Chu Chaoyun. If I did not trust you, why would I come and help you? Right after Xiao Qian said that, Xiao Qian and Chu Chaoyun both revealed smiles. They both felt like they had said something pointless. I have a Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. If I can control the blood moon and your sun and materialize the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram, I will definitely be able to knock him back. I understand. Without needing to say anything more, Xiao Qian spread out the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram with a wave of his hand. Then, a painting unfurled in his hand and covered the vast starry heavens. Xiao Qian took the lead, absorbing the blood moon into it. The two watched as the Black Dragon King roared in the depths of the starry heavens. Countless stars shattered with a horrifying might. The entire starry heavens trembled. Here. At the critical moment, Chu Chaoyun shouted and finally succeeded in embedding the sun into the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Sun and moon cycle, endlessly multiplying. Xiaoqin pushed his hand forward. Immediately, the blood moon and the blazing sun turned into a black and white fish. A Taiji yin-yang flame diagram formed in this boundless starry heavens, turning into a light screen that forcefully knocked the Black Dragon King back. The two gathered their strength and materialized the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. In the starry heavens, Xiaoqin and Chu Chaoyun worked together to push this diagram, continuously pushing back the Black Dragon King in the boundless, pitch-black starry heavens. The Black Dragon King's colossal body continuously crashed into the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. However, he could not stop himself from being pushed back. The two forces clashed in the starry heavens. Everywhere they passed, stars exploded and shattered. Crack! Crack! Cracks appeared in the Taiji yin-yang flame diagram. Xiaoqin quickly said, "Withdraw." After withdrawing the blood moon and the blazing sun, Xiaoqin and Chu Chaoyun each landed on a star. The star that Xiaoqin landed on was desolate, devoid of spiritual energy. When Xiaoqin looked around, he saw a vast, boundless wasteland. Just as he was about to soar into the air and meet up with Chu Chaoyun, the ground under his feet suddenly exploded. The ground under Xiaoqin's feet suddenly exploded, and a black spear appeared without any warning, thrusting at him. Bang! Closely following that, the entire star shattered. Intense, fiery shock waves erupted from the core of the star. One of the Black Dragon King's claws directly shattered the star, nearly injuring Xiaoqin. It was not over yet. The instant the star exploded, the surrounding space shrank. A suction pulled at Xiaoqin. This startled Xiaoqin. He knew that the Black Dragon King's dragon claws had grabbed him. However, the other party's dragon claws were too large. Xiaoqin did not have time to grab the Black Dragon King. Xiaoqin immediately swung his saber, illuminating the surrounding starry heavens. Then, he forcefully chopped off a dragon claw and jumped out. But the danger did not stop. In the depths of the universe, in the vast starry sky, the Black Dragon King, who used a forbidden art to revert to his ancestral roots, erupted with strong combat prowess. Although Xiaoqin and Chu Chaoyun did their best, they were too insignificant before the Black Dragon King. "Chu Chaoyun, protect me." Xiaoqin sent a voice projection. Then, he merged Heavenly Slayer into his physical body and bloodline before retreating continuously. "What are you doing?" When Chu Chaoyun saw Xiaoqin, he showed a grave expression. Something was wrong with the situation. Previously, we severely injured this Black Dragon King. In a desperate situation, he executed a forbidden art. In reality, he is already a spent force. As long as I successfully execute the forbidden art and revert to my ancestral roots, I will definitely be able to destroy him in one go. In that case, I'll protect you. Before you successfully execute the forbidden art, I guarantee that you will not be injured. Right after Chu Chaoyun spoke, he bit his lip and did not say anything else. Then, he brought out his primal chaos Great Tao to the limit, and countless stars continuously gathered over. When the stars approached, the primal chaos Great Tao shattered them. As the stars shattered, space twisted, and a huge black hole appeared. Chu Chaoyun paled as he roared. At the cost of overdrawing on his life, he drove the primal chaos Great Tao without a care for anything else. He used the horrifying black hole to block the Black Dragon King. The Black Dragon King felt danger. However, a distorted black hole formed by swallowing countless stars lay in front of him. Even with the Black Dragon King's current body, he still felt some fear when he looked at that black hole. He sensed the aura of a primal chaos god fiend in it. However, when the Black Dragon King saw Xiaoqin, who had merged with a soul tool behind Chu Chaoyun, his aura turned increasingly dangerous. The Black Dragon King had to make a move. He opened his mouth and spat out pitch-black dragon flames of destruction, continuously attacking Chu Chaoyun's body. The Black Dragon King wanted to kill Chu Chaoyun and force him to give up on maintaining the primal chaos Great Tao. However, Chu Chaoyun allowed the waves of dragon flames to strike his physical body. He remained as unmoving as a mountain, continuing to drive the primal chaos Great Tao. Dragon's Gate Forbidden Art, God-Demon Body Disintegration. Boom! Xiao Chen's eyes turned scarlet as he watched Chu Chaoyun block the Black Dragon King's attack with his body of flesh and blood. Xiao Chen had long felt anxious and enraged. Now that the forbidden art finally succeeded, an ancient dragon roar resounded in the starry heavens. Xiao Chen's body wriggled continuously. Soon, he turned into an ancient blue dragon. However, this was not enough. Xiao Chen continued to execute the God-Demon Body Unsealing Art. The ancient blue dragon reverted to its ancestral form, finally turning into a great desolate Aeon Ancestor Dragon. When the ancient great desolate Aeon Ancestor Dragon appeared, some mysterious existences in the depths of the starry heavens trembled in fear. The Ancestor Dragon's body was even larger than the Black Dragon King's, and its dragon might was even stronger. Horror immediately appeared in the Black Dragon King's heart. No matter how strong he was, he could not change the dragon race bloodline in his body. When the Black Dragon King saw the Ancestor Dragon's fear, it instinctively turned around. The insufferably arrogant Black Dragon King, who claimed to be the incarnation of destruction, fled in panic. "You want to leave?" "No way!" Xiao Chen roared. Then, he infused the Heavenly Tao's killing intent materialized by Heavenly Slayer in his bloodline into his dragon claws. Pa! The primal chaos ancestor dragon pounced forward and struck the Black Dragon King's body with its claw. The Black Dragon King, who was already an arrow at the end of its flight, was already a spent force. The Black Dragon King, who was already a spent force, let out a miserable shriek, and his colossal body crumbled, exploding in the depths of the starry heavens. With one strike, Xiao Chen's thoughts turned chaotic. Many chaotic memories of an ancient ancestor dragon appeared in his mind. Xiao Chen felt like his head was going to explode. His entire body twisted uncontrollably, causing stars to explode. The side effects of the forbidden art had arrived. If Xiao Chen could not maintain his original heart, he would not be able to recover his physical body. This would continue until his bloodline drained, his soul fell, and he died of exhaustion. Seeing the ancestor dragon instantly descend into madness after killing the Black Dragon King, Chu Chaoyun quickly retreated. Xiao Chen had nearly injured him. When Chu Chaoyun saw the situation, he frowned slightly. After a while, he gritted his teeth and stepped forward. Then, he took the risk to approach Xiao Chen, who had already turned into an ancestor dragon. Using his soul energy as a voice, the name Xiao Chen continuously echoed in the ancestor dragon's mind. This helped Xiao Chen maintain his original heart and not let it fall into chaos. After a long time, just as Chu Chaoyun felt some despair, a light flashed in the great desolate Aeon ancestor dragon's eyes. The berserk aura on the great desolate Aeon ancestor dragon's body slowly dissipated. After a while, its terrifyingly huge body shrank and fell towards a star. "I'm back." Chu Chaoyun revealed joy on his face as he said softly. Then, he gave chase. About 7 minutes later, Chu Chaoyun saw the fatigued Xiao Chen lying on the ground on a desolate star. "Can you still stand up?" Chu Chaoyun asked with a faint smile. "You are not dead." "Naturally, I can stand up." Xiao Chen stood up with much difficulty. Then, he looked at Chu Chaoyun and heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this fellow was really not dead. Earlier, when the Black Dragon King spewed waves of destructive dragon flame at Xiao Chen's physical body, it frightened Xiao Chen badly. "I'm not dead yet, but I'm almost there." "Who knew?" Chu Chaoyun said something that stunned Xiao Chen for a long time. "What's wrong?" "Ha ha ha. I thought that with your intelligence, you would have guessed it long ago. Unexpectedly, you are still so shocked." As Chu Chaoyun wiped away the blood on his lips, he revealed a radiant smile. His laughter was melodious, calm, and carefree. However, Xiaoqin could not bring himself to smile. I already felt that something was wrong with you in Black Wind Ridge. When that sun appeared, I roughly guessed it. Chu Chaoyun sighed softly. Sometimes, I feel really helpless. It was not easy for me to come to this great thousand realms from the Kunlun realm. I thought that I could fly freely, that I could have a new start from here on out. Unexpectedly, I still could not shake off my fate. Back then, the Tianwu dynasty of the Kunlun realm was established by the Holy Lord. His bloodline flows in me. From the start to the end, I was just a pawn that he used to suppress you. Is it strange? Back then, when the Blue Dragon race was destroyed, the Blue Dragon Palace preserved its inheritance and flew to the Kunlun realm. This did not escape the attention of the Holy Lord. The Holy Lord followed the Blue Dragon Palace to the Kunlun realm and established the Tianwu dynasty in the Sky Dome realm, leaving behind this plot. My fate has been intertwined with his from the very beginning. If he lived, I lived. If he died, I died. From the very start, I was a pawn that he used to deal with you. When I learned the truth, I nearly collapsed. When I saw you in the ancient Yan Emperor tomb, I wanted to say something several times but hesitated. At that time, I really admired you. You clearly had no choice, but you still dared to draw your saber and make your own choice. Xiaoqin said, actually, don't say anything. Listen to me. In the future, you won't be able to hear much. Chu Chaoyun interrupted Xiaoqin. He narrowed his eyes and revealed a faint smile. Then, he said softly, 1 day ago, I was still uncertain whether I had no choice but to follow the trend and use the trump card that the Holy Lord left behind to kill you and become the new epic master. Or, I could just not resist and die at your hands. However, in Dragon God Plaza, you gave up on the Dragon Emperor position and the luck of the Divine Dragon Empire. At that moment, I knew that I already had my answer. No matter how helpless I was, we all have our own choices in life, and we all have our own perseverance. I don't want to be the epic master or any pawn. I just want to be myself, to be Chu Chaoyun, to be your close friend, Xiaoqin. Ha 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 ha. Right after Xiaoqin spoke, Chu Chaoyun guffawed, his laughter filled with boundless joy and delight. The facts prove that I did the right thing. I feel joy in my heart. Since I was born, I have never felt as relaxed and happy as I do now. As Xiaoqin faced Chu Chaoyun's carefree laughter, Xiaoqin could not bring himself to laugh in his heart. This was clearly a matter of boundless misery. However, Chu Chaoyun spoke casually. If Xiaoqin did not become the new epic master, the Holy Lord would definitely die. If the Holy Lord died, Chu Chaoyun, who had the Holy Lord's bloodline and was connected to the Holy Lord's fate, would die as well. In Xiaoqin's life, he had friends, lovers, and masters. However, there had never been anyone like Chu Chaoyun. Chu Chaoyun was both an opponent and a close friend, with such a deep bond. However, this person would soon die along with the Holy Lord. Let's go. I'll help you with one last thing. The Holy Lord is astute. He still has a trump card that he used to threaten you. I'll help you get it back and easily sever my own karma. What is it? Come with me. The instant Chu Chaoyun turned around, he staggered and nearly fell. Clearly, Chu Chaoyun had overdrawn on his life force to block the Black Dragon King's dragon flame of destruction earlier. Now, it was not as easy as it seemed. The two arrived in the starry heavens. Not long after, they discovered a corpse floating in space. Xin Yuan. Stepping forward, Xiaoqin clearly saw the corpse's appearance. Then, a complicated expression appeared on his face. The Black Dragon King was killed. As the host, Xin Yuan's soul completely merged with the Black Dragon King and died as well. It looked like the Venerable Xian Bei's instructions from back then could not be fulfilled. Let's go. Xiaoqin did not feel much sympathy for Xin Yuan. He brought this upon himself. 1 hour later, under Chu Chaoyun's lead, the two entered the tattered Faux God world. The Void God realm that was once bustling with activity was now completely empty, without the slightest bit of life. All the foe gods were already dead, falling along with the destruction of the martial epoch. The two arrived at the holy city and entered the divine palace step by step. A skinny old man wearing a mask lay weakly on a high throne in the depths of the palace. This old man's aura was weak, and his life force was faint. When the old man heard footsteps, he did not open his eyes. He said weakly, "Chao Yun, you're back. Did you kill Shao Chen?" "Yes. I killed Shao Chen. I will become the new epoch master." "Really?" The incredibly weak old man on the throne shuddered and sat up. He was so agitated that his voice trembled. The old man looked like he came back to life, brimming with energy. Then, he suddenly opened his eyes. He happened to see Chu Chaoyun. His eyes narrowed, and he smiled craftily like a white fox. "Sorry, I lied to you. Ka Xie." Right after Chu Chaoyun spoke, a sword light flashed. Then, Chu Chaoyun killed this dying holy lord with one sword strike. Chu Chaoyun stepped forward and searched under the old man's throne. Joy appeared on his face as he took out an item. Then, he turned around and said, "For you." Pu Ci. Before Chu Chaoyun finished speaking, he vomited a mouthful of blood. His pale complexion turned even scarier. A dragon head. Shao Chen caught the item that Chu Chaoyun tossed over. Then, he showed a startled expression. This was the Azure Mountain's dragon head that he had been searching for. Chu Chaoyun coughed intensely a few times. Then, he smiled and said, "This old man is very sinister. If I failed to kill you, he would use this to threaten you. If this item is destroyed, even in the new epoch, the blue dragon bloodline will not be able to rise again." The Holy Lord died. Chu Chaoyun, whose fate was linked to the Holy Lord, visibly lost his life force. However, Chu Chaoyun did not seem to notice. He looked at Shao Chen and asked, "Do you have wine? I suddenly recall that we have known each other for so many years, but I have never had a proper drink with you." Shao Chen took out heartburn and poured a cup for each of them. How unfortunate. It was not easy for me to live for myself, but I have to leave so soon. However, it does not matter. After this cup, we will be bosom friends in our next lives. There is no such thing as fate. There is no such thing as an undying old man wearing a mask. There is only a bond and friendship. My sword awaits your saber. Chu Chaoyun raised his wine cup and clinked it. The crisp sound of cups clinking rang out. Then, Chu Chaoyun coughed endlessly and vomited a large mouthful of blood. The blood fell into the two's cups, dyeing the wine red. This made one's heart ache. "It's dirty." Shao Chen changed to another cup, plop. Chu Chaoyun, who was changing cups, suddenly felt his hands losing strength to hold the wine cup. As the wine cup fell to the ground and shattered, he fell limply. It looked like he had fallen asleep. Then, he closed his eyes with a smile. "Chu Chaoyun." Shao Chen stepped forward and caught her. Then, he shouted, "Brother, you're not dead yet." However, that handsome and outstanding Chu Chaoyun, who always had a smile on his face, was already asleep forever. Drip. A tear leaked out of the corner of Shao Chen's eyes as he closed his eyes. The tear fell into the cup and melted into the blood like heart burning. Shao Chen drained the cup in one go. However, although this wine was called heart-burning, it did not make him feel any heartache. There was a kind of pain called pain at its peak. The heart could no longer feel pain. 5 years later, after Shao Chen dealt with the matters of the Great Thousand Realms, he prepared to head to the Kunlun realm with Lu Ryue, Ao Jiao, and Mo Chen. Before parting, Shao Chen looked at the starry heavens and spread his hands. Then, he merged his soul energy with the great Tao and said softly, "I hope that all the men in the world have the heart of a gentleman, that the heavens move vigorously, that they constantly strive to improve themselves. I hope that all the women in the world have the heart to improve themselves, not inferior to men, comparable to the sky. I hope that all the people in the world are like dragons, having the heart of a newborn, not seeking eternal life, only chasing their dreams, not regretting it even if they die. Whoosh! Right after Xiao Qin spoke, a crystalline, dazzling seed flew out of his palm and slowly drifted into the sky. Big brother Xiao Qin, what is this? Mo Qin asked softly. Xiao Qin replied gently, this is the epic heart that I condensed. It is also a seed, the divine dragon epic that I want. I hope that all the people in the world are like dragons, having the heart of a newborn, not seeking eternal life, only chasing their dreams. However, why not seek eternal life? Because eternal life represents all desires. Eternal life is lived for one's desires, not for oneself. Such a person living is worse than death. If everyone lived forever, then this epoch would end sooner or later. Lu Ruyue, Mo Qin, and Ao Jiao entered deep thought, not really understanding. Xiao Qin smiled and said, stop thinking about it. Let's go. Let's return to the Kunlun realm. However, when Xiao Qin saw the bright moon in the night sky, his smile revealed a trace of bitterness. Back then, the bright moon shone on the colorful clouds. End of book.